across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Just after 4 o'clock. It is Monday the 11th of August. Been away for a couple of weeks. Thank you to who sat in? I can't remember. Peter Cobble. There's a man pointing a camera at me already. Get out. It's too stressful for me. It's Monday. Our first guest is on the way, but thank you very much indeed for all your comments. A couple of texts going, Jesus, he's back. We're switching to another station. It's always lovely. But we are on with Drive Time live across the United Kingdom, the station of common sense. Everybody's using it now. Donald Trump's using it. Nigel Farage is using it. They've nicked the template from Mike Graham. They really have. It's the home of common sense, and it's the opportunity for you, and I've always said this, to have your say. We're not here to judge. We're not here to hack anybody off. But what we want is for you to feel confident enough to say what you think. As ever, if you want to be part of this vain attempt at a radio programme in the next 3 hours, 3 ways of contacting us. And Judy, fresh from... Bet she's happy. Jack Grealish to Everton. Jesus. 0344 499 1000. That is the number you need between now and 7. 0344 499 1000. Similarly, you can also do that on that WhatsApp thingamajig, whereby it's a different thing. And Ryan, you can do a voice note. If you do send a voice note, 0344 499 1000, start with, hee, Watford are crap, because they lost. Now, 0344 499 1000 and text to 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Looking at the front of the Sun today and most other papers, still 2 weeks away on holiday and back I come, and still the small boats, migrant crisis, all the hassles. We're going to smash the gangs. You haven't done anything. In fact, it's worse than when you started out, Mr. Starmer, or Sakir to his friends. Migration at the forefront of everybody's mind. Over the weekend, of course, the Chagos thing came back to bite him on the backside. I don't know. It's interesting. Number 10 have said that the newspaper reports that this could cost the British taxpayer upwards of £30 billion are exaggerated. I would simply say this to you about the Chagos Islands, not even getting into the argument about whether it's our land or anybody else's land. The Mauritian government, after our generosity, their debts have gone, and all Mauritians will not be paying income tax for 12 months. But don't you worry, your taxes are going to be raised to pay for people to come to this country who shouldn't be here, despite the fact you're paying tax. And everywhere I go in this country, and I went to Norfolk, that's quite brave, they all say the same thing. This government isn't for working people. This government isn't doing what is right by the British people. The Chagos deal, they say, cost 10 times what Starmer claimed. Also today, I don't know what you think about this, Labour frees 26,000 prisoners early in just 7 months. Those who have been jailed for up to 10 years released. Why? Why not build more prisons? Why not do what is patently obvious, which is make a crime pay, make people serve the whole sentence, and then maybe they'd learn the difference between right and wrong. Listen, I'm more exasperated than I was when I went away. And also, the big story today is welcome, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not a taxpayer, to Perk Britain. A host of generous perks are being offered to these small boats' arrivals, including discounts on martial art classes, dinghy days out. Dinghy days out? What, how to drive your own boat? Plus £1 Aston Villa match tickets, which is probably all they're worth. Right, let's get to it. I've got a banana. I don't know why I said that. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. There's only one way to start. The First Lady of Politics has deigned to join us this afternoon, Sarah Pochin, Reform's MP for Runcorn and Helsby. Hello.
Good afternoon, Jeremy, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Delighted. Being away, you were always going to be our first guest. There is so much to talk about.
Yes.
I want to start with women's safety. You're Reform's only female MP, and you were talking at a press conference earlier about how there is genuine fear that men coming from certain countries, and we can say some Muslim countries, the left will jump up and down, do indeed pose a threat to women's safety in Britain. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, you described... Let's listen to what you say, but many people are picking up on this medieval views. Have a listen. This is Sarah earlier.
The truth is, we have no idea who we're letting in. No idea how many of them have criminal records or who might be a red flag to our security services. How many are drug dealers, murderers, rapists? spies for hostile regimes, terrorists. What we do know is that this government is being forced, kicking and screaming, to accept that foreign nationals are 4 times more likely to commit rape or sexual assault than British men.
Pick up on that, because the one thing that I have always said about this station, the one thing that I've always said about reform, is that there seems to be a desire to speak now about things that many people have wanted to talk about, Sarah, for a long time, but perhaps haven't felt it was right. You told reporters earlier that 1/4 of sexual assault convictions last year were committed by foreign nationals, as you warn of the risk of sexual assault and rape. People who don't know about Sarah should know this. You were a magistrate for 20 years.
That's right.
You know laws inside out. Why are people so affronted when facts like that are given out, do you think?
Because we are in a situation where our left-wing government, clearly, and establishment are in denial about what's actually happening in this country. And I feel that, do you know what? I am brave. I am prepared to stand up for the safety of women. I have people in my constituency that come through the door and tell me about the fact that there has been a rape in their street, about the fact that their daughters have been the subject of flashes, we used to call them, indecent exposure is the charge, and just about everything else in between. I had a mum that came in and told me that her 2 daughters were walking in a park and got approached by what was clearly a migrant, asking them if they'd like to earn some money. This is not acceptable, and it's going on up and down the country, and that is why we are seeing now British men, which I mentioned in my speech, actually mobilising themselves in sort of guardian angel-style street patrols to make sure that on a Saturday night, there's one in Bedford, and a philanthropist, businessman locally is funding it, making sure their daughters, their girlfriends, their wives can go out on a night out without fear of being attacked and sexually assaulted.
And I have teenage daughters, and I do try, contrary to what some people will say, to try and see both sides of the coin. There are those on the left, and you talk about the establishment, I agree with you, increasingly, even more so. There are people on the left who will think that this is victimisation or categorisation of everybody who's not English, and we're all racist and it's outrageous. But the fact of the matter is, and I am, as you are, Sarah, quite happy and prepared to say what I'm about to say and front out anybody who thinks that it's wrong. If you have people into a country who have different views, you describe them as medieval. There's many, I mean, the situation with those 100,000 plus, we reckon now, Afghans being dropped into various communities. Why do the left, why does a certain part of the establishment suddenly forget about the rights, the safety, the security, the decency, if you like, of young girls? They go on all the time. They say to me, oh, women's rights. Yes, absolutely. But the minute we bring that in, or the minute we talk about transsexuals, everybody seems to forget. There are examples after examples across this country where communities have had an influx of people with different views, and that is impacting on young girls' security. And that is not racist, that is a fact. And the government does bugger all about that because they think that doesn't make them look good. I say that we need to stand and say those things. That's not racist, that's factual, isn't it?
But this has been going on for years. Look at the grooming gang situation.
Yes.
Look at South Yorkshire and what was going on there under a Conservative government.
Can I just say, I mean, sorry to jump in, but lots to say, haven't been away. That bloody man in Rotherham, that where you were a magistrate, the ringleader who served 2 years, check this, ladies and gentlemen, you know this, Sarah, is now back living on the same street where young girls that he and his mates preyed on.
Yes.
He's been back a few years and we've given him nearly 300 grand to fight his case, and we've just found out he spent that on what? Building a house in Pakistan?
That's right.
We're a joke, man.
We are a joke, and we've got to stop this whole industry, and I talk about it a lot, of left-wing human rights lawyers. And of course, the first thing that Reform will do when we are in government in 2029...
I like that, when?
...is leave the European Convention of Human Rights, because it doesn't matter what this Labour government is now saying, and I'm sure you've noticed that they are speaking more and more like a Reform politician, and only yesterday they were saying, right, we're going to deport all the foreign national offenders in the prisons, and well, we've been saying that for so long, haven't we? But the fact is, Jeremy, it won't happen as long as the appeals process are in place, and these migrants, these criminals, who, whichever stage they are at in this country, can appeal and appeal and appeal. And do you know that the Home Office has just lost track of 150,000 that came in under the guise in 2022 of care workers lost? And I can tell you, because I spoke to my Chief Constable in Cheshire recently, and he was telling me that when they pass through somewhere, when the migrants coming through somewhere like Marsden, the processing place in Kent, nobody takes their DNA. Nobody does the facial biometric recognition. So how do our police services, our police force and our security services catch these criminals? Why would we not take that? Now, I went to the States last Christmas. The first thing that happened to me was, for the first time in my life, I had all my fingerprints taken and my facial biometrics done. In the papers over the weekend, it was saying that Europe is now going to introduce that, so that if Brits want to travel into Europe, we have to have our fingerprints and facial recognition. So why is it that illegal immigrants coming into this country, it's against their human rights to take their DNA and their fingerprints?
No, I'm with you, and I you know.
And one more thing, Jeremy.
Go.
When they are raping an 8-year-old girl, what do they leave behind? Not a calling card. They leave behind their DNA.
I find increasingly, and I've been quite zen-like for the last 2 weeks because I spend every afternoon shouting. I don't know what it is. That Rotherham thing to me is so abhorrent, and I don't care where you come from. I don't care the colour of your skin or your religion. If you do that to a young girl, in my world, you don't have any liberty in a civilised society. I don't know why certain institutions, local government, the police, the NHS, politicians of all ranks seemingly turned their back, just thought it was best not to have that discussion. It's the same with the migrants. Are we more interested? Is this government more interested, Sarah, in globally looking great? Because here's what I want to say to Keir Starmer and all those people. Whilst you're sticking up for people's human rights, the world's laughing at the United Kingdom. They think we're as soft as, excuse my French, they come here because we are soft. One of the things that you said there, right, and this is really, really important, is you said about the ECHR. I think that is probably one of the most talked about things politically. It is patently obvious, and you know this, that the legal ramifications of what is absolutely the right thing to do will last an age. And I completely believe that when you and Nigel, when you say we're going to do this, but if the establishment closes ranks on you, how are you going to get it done? That's what I like to know, and I think a lot of viewers and listeners would like to know that.
The whole point about elected officials is that we don't let the tail wag the dog. If Nigel is the Prime Minister, when Nigel is the Prime Minister, because I firmly believe he will, in 2029, become our Prime Minister, then we call the shots and we tell the establishment, we tell the civil service, we tell the Home Office or the Foreign Office.
Past, then?
Because there's been no will to do it.
Right.
So through the Cameron years, which was just an extension of the Blair years, and on, you know, we haven't had somebody who was prepared.
But Johnson got a mandate. He had an 80-seat majority.
And what a disappointment he was.
Listen, and I was his biggest advocate.
And he betrayed the British people as much as Keir Starmer.
But why didn't he say, listen, sod you this? I mean, you know, for a lot of people, they think that I've basically lost the plot when I say, I know he was a nightmare, but Dominic Cummings was right on many, many things about how the establishment needed taking down. He
absolutely was. And we need to stop being in denial about the effect of this culture coming into this country. And it is the culture of Islam, who have absolutely no regard for the value of women. So these men coming in on these boats, 800 to 1,000 a week, 26,000 this year alone, have a totally different view, a medieval view. And I've said that.
And what do the lefties, what do the women's libs lot, you know, whatever, you know, and he said the wrong thing. What do they say when you say that? You're a racist, are you?
They don't, well, they call me a racist, but they're far more interested in standing outside Parliament this weekend and demonstrating about in support of Palestine Action Group or whatever. I'm not being funny, but no matter that there's a war, clearly there's a war going on in the Middle East. Why aren't these people demonstrating about the betrayal of our women and girls' safety in this country? They are more interested in standing over there in Parliament, waving their Palestinian flags about something that's going on thousands and thousands of miles away. I'm not saying that's not important. Of course it is. It's a global issue. But the fact is we have so many problems at home.
You know,
this is an invasion on our culture.
You see, listen, I listen to you and I understand it, and I rail against most days. Ryan and Jodie will tell you that we seem to have people in all walks of life in this country who don't... I mean, they'll argue till you're blue in the face. And yet I've just been in Norfolk on the coast for a week in between somewhere else. And honestly, every single person I met went, can you please keep speaking the truth at MG? Because it's ludicrous. I can tell you in Norfolk there isn't one Labour voter. That is, I'm honestly, I mean, look at this. You know, you talk about we're a joke. A host of generous perks are being offered to small Bert's arrivals.
Unbelievable.
Including discounts on martial art classes, dingy days out.
Yeah, well, it couldn't be more ironic, could it?
I mean, sorry, I mean, this is a Sun investigation. Half-price e-bikes, when army veterans and pensioners only get a fifth. Labour-run Rotherham Council. I mean,
Jeremy, I have army veterans coming into my office in the constituency, and they will tell me that they've been removed from housing in order to make room for illegal migrants. I have families that have been moved out of houses because they have to make room. And now we know, don't we, that the Home Office is commandeering, I guess, through the likes of Serco, entire blocks of flats, entire streets in our communities that will be filled with migrants. What is that doing to our culture? Why are we letting this happen
but
to our country?
The whole aesthetic, not even the aesthetic look, the financial cost, the moral implication. It happened in Bournemouth. That was in the Sun over the weekend. The 3 biggest hotels. What you're saying is, come to this country. See, I think the reason we're at a seminal moment in our politics and a seminal moment in how people view things is, I don't think people, when we weren't skint and when it wasn't as hard through the cost of living, and I'm bored of hearing that it's all about, you know, COVID and all that, but that did impact. But let's move on. I think people got on with their lives. But when your food bill's 3 times as expensive, when your energy bill has gone through the roof, when you are really, really struggling and you see people, and it is not racist, if you're getting, let me get this right, you're getting deals on e-bikes, tickets, dingy days out, martial arts classes, and you're saying to people who've paid their tax, I'm really sorry you're screwed, and I'm really sorry you're having a hard time, but we're just going to wipe the backside of everybody else. Doesn't make sense to me.
But more fundamentally, they're getting free housing, they're getting free driving lessons, free mobile phones, free clothes, free food. Everything they're getting free.
How do we allow this
then? And then they're going out and working in the black economy as delivery drivers or other companies. But the point is, this is being allowed to happen because nobody will challenge.
And you are confident that reform would not only challenge that, but they could make a difference?
Reform will deport everybody that arrives on the shores. We will deport everybody that is in a migrant hotel. And we will go out and find in the community those that have been dispersed in houses of multiple occupation and deport them.
Have you heard my idea?
Be deported.
Have you heard my idea?
No, go on, tell me.
Truthfully? I believe that we should commandeer a massive liner, one of those, condition it. I'll personally do it myself. Train 2,000 crack Border Force officials. I'd put the Royal Navy in the Channel. I'd pick up the first 3 boats. Nobody's setting foot in my country. You're going on the boat. If you are processed within 24 hours and you have a viable reason, we will welcome you with open arms. But if not, I'll tell you what I'm going to do with you. I'm going to build, this is what I'm going to build, I'm going to build a centre, probably in the Orkney Islands, no upset to the Orkney Islands, I can't afford to take you to the Falklands, that is not a 4-star hotel with all the perks. And very quickly, Sarah, I reckon that would permeate down and back home they go, oh, Jesus, they're not as wet as they were.
Because it's worked in other countries. It's worked in other countries where they've cracked down hard. We don't have a big coastline. What are we doing not able to police that border? And I totally agree with you. You stick them offshore somewhere. It doesn't matter where, but they do not set foot in this country. And I would actually go a step further because if they had a reason, a viable reason to come into this country, they wouldn't need to be on that dinghy. So anyone that arrives that way never sets foot in this country. And by the way, they're paying a fortune for these trips, aren't they, to these organised crime gangs. The only way to stop this happening, because every time you stop one organised crime gang, another one springs up. So the only way to stop it happening is to stop the pull factor, which is our benefit system, our housing system. You don't let them come into this country at all. You put them offshore and it won't take long for them to stop coming.
Just very quickly before you go, you're a busy lady and we so appreciate it. I mean, the Chagos deal today, just very quickly, I mean, there again, I said it at the beginning of the show. Thank you very much indeed. You're debt-free, the Mauritian government. Thank you very much indeed.
And
the
not
Mauritian
paying
people
taxes.
are paying no taxes at all, but you're all screwed. But keep voting for us.
But do
What
you
a
know, do they
joke.
think the British people are stupid?
Yeah, they do.
You know, we can't make ends meet, and we're paying 30 billion, is it now, for this? But not only that, on a global scale, how did that make us look when Trump and the Americans were going over to drop a nuclear bomb somewhere? Well, not a nuclear bomb. What were they doing? They didn't use the Chagos Islands.
Absolutely, they used
attack,
a different. They used a different.
I can't remember
to attack
where.
Iran. They
Iran.
Used another one.
Thank you. Yeah. But the point is that made us look ridiculous on a global scale.
And he
that
thinks,
should have been our base.
He thinks that if he goes down this left-wing woke human rights lawyers angle, he'll look good. What I said to you 20 minutes ago was, I think we're a laughingstock abroad and at home.
Macron's laughing at him and Trump's laughing at him. Everyone's laughing at him, and that means they're laughing at us. This Prime Minister has to go. I think he will go. I don't think he'll last for 4 years. Absolutely not.
Let me sum up our conversation with this from Tim. I love Sarah Poin. I was honoured to serve my country for 10 years. Now, if I'm honest, I'm embarrassed. Why the hell did I bother? See, that breaks my heart, man. And he's probably homeless.
I know.
You know? Listen, it is so fantastic. Thank you. Very busy. Got looking like Margaret Thatcher today. Obviously a lot younger. That didn't sound right, did it? Sarah Poin, fantastic. The Runcorn and Helsby MP for Reform. More from her coming up very soon. Thank you very much, Steve. 4:23. She's shooting off. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Text to 87222. I'm off for a wee. I'll see you in 3.
I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to come on this morning was just say thank you to all the people who've given really nice tributes. And even like when we were at the hospice, there are a couple of handwritten letters arrived from people who'd heard he was there. Yeah. And that he'd maybe spoken to once in 1970. Right. He'd been kind to them and they felt the need to write in. So thank you to everyone.
But there really wasn't anybody like him.
No, he's a big hole to fill. It's just, I miss him terribly. Yeah. He was thinking of making a little video, but he decided against that in the end, like something to be played at his funeral or whatever, but he decided not to do that in the end.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
426 is the home of common sense and free speech. This is JK back on drive for Monday afternoon. Welcome along. Thanks for tuning in. So much to get your teeth in today. Small boats arrivals, you heard there from Sarah Poin from Reform, pose a risk to women's safety. She said many men, single men coming into this country from different environments and different backgrounds with different values, and we need to stand up and deal with that. She also took aim at this government. The perks that you can get for just arriving on a boat are extraordinary, man. Aston Villa match tickets, that's not a bonus. Martial arts tickets for classes, e-bikes. I mean, honest to God, the way we treat people in this country and the way we treat people who are coming in. We told you the story about the Chagos Islands, more of that in just a minute. Also over the weekend, like your thoughts on that Palestinian Action March. Let's just remember that this is an organisation prescribed as a terrorist organisation by our left-wing government. 500 people who look like they needed a wash to me, but I could be wrong, arrested. Listen, people will have their views of Gaza. I don't like what I see. I don't agree with everything that's going on. But I rather take Sarah Poin's viewpoint, which some people won't, which is, I'm not blind to what's going on in the world, but I do wish our government would stop trying to be so globalist and concentrate on the stuff that's happening at home. One man who always does that and has a lot to say is the Shadow Defence Minister, Conservative MP for Raleigh and Wickford. Very good afternoon, Mark. Francois, you're looking healthy, dear boy. How are you?
I'm very well, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm very well. I saw you the other day on a newspaper thing, looking smart as carrots in your suit. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Where do you want to start? Palestine outrage? Let's start with the Chagos Islands, because you're the expert. You stand up in Parliament. I'm just going to put this in layman's terms, right, to the British people who are listening. Mm-hmm. We have a Prime Minister who has decided to give away a territory that seemingly we've had for a long time. I'm not bothered about that argument, the rights and wrong. He's also apparently given up to £30 billion to the Mauritian government. And the interesting thing is, Mark, as I said to Sarah just then, the Mauritian government is now debt-free, and the Mauritian people will pay, and I know this is true, no income tax for 12 to 18 months. Now, on the basis of the fact that your own people are skint, the country's skint, we haven't got a defence organised, we haven't got any police, we've got absolutely zilch. Is he barking mad genuinely without going with her? Does he honestly think, Mark, that the British people are going to stomach this? Is appalling, because Downing Street said, no, the figures are wrong, but they haven't given us what figures. They've gone, no, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. We don't agree with them.
Right. In pub English, the Prime Minister and the Labour government have bare-arse lied to Parliament. Why do I say that? They told us that the total cost over the 99 years of the deal would be under £4 billion. Now, we vehemently challenged that. We didn't accept that. We said, because you add interest to each year after about year 14, and once you add in on that, it's far more. So we said about 30 billion, accounting for the interest. They said, no, that's, you're scaremongering. Well, the Government Actuaries Department, which is a specialist part of government that does long-term financial calculations, that's their job. They've come up with an authoritative figure, which is £34.7 billion. That's not me saying it, it's not you saying it, that's the government's own actuaries department. Now, why is that so important? One, because it's plainly bonkers. Two, because the Prime Minister told Parliament very clearly it was barely a tenth of that, and his ministers, including in the Foreign Office, backed him up. So when we come back, these people are going to have some serious questions to answer, because on the face of it, they've lied to Parliament.
Well, let me read you the number 10. This is a government spokesman. They don't accept your figures at all. They're not your figures, of course. Let's not forget. This is
not
under
mine. They're the government's figures.
I get this. I completely agree. The Freedom of Information Act. This is from number 10 today. The Diego Garcia military base is essential to the security of the UK and our key allies. The average cost is 101 million per year, and the net present value of payments. Hold on, I haven't finished the statement yet. The net present value of payments is £3.4 billion. That is less than 0.2% of the annual defence budget. The costs compare favourably with other international base agreements, and the UK-US base on Diego Garcia is larger, in a more strategic location, and has unparalleled operational freedom. Before you jump in, I'd just like to add this. We can argue the toss about how they're going to be, you know, dragged into Parliament and question this. I go back to something that I just said to Sarah, and I know you'll agree. Does he think the British people are mad? Just consider people, the numbers of people we speak to whose council tax bills have gone through the roof, whose energy bills have gone through the roof, who look every day and see migrants being offered everything that they never get offered. British people, veterans on the street, homeless, being pushed out of hotels and social housing to make way for these migrants. Our people, and I hate to sound wrong, but the people of this country, Mark, are really teetering. They've had enough. And this is another example of, yeah, let the Mauritians be income tax free, let their government debt free, but you lot, you can still be under the cosh. That's the reality of what's going on, surely.
Well, I have a massive beef with the government about how they're treating Northern Ireland veterans. You mentioned veterans. Yep. Please, anyone watching this, sign the petition, the Commons petition to defend them. Go on the website, sign the petition, defend the Northern Ireland veterans. But let's stay on Chagos. Look, I've got the agreement here. Right, Jeremy, we discussed this before. On international treaties and agreements, read the small print. By the way, I think you're right. It's as if, you know, they do think that the British public are mad. They're contemptuous about public opinion. But in the preamble to the agreement, this is supposed to be a treaty, it says this: recalling the unique circumstances and history of the Chagos archipelago and mindful of the need to complete the process of decolonisation of Mauritius. That is why partly the government are doing this, and it'll be 35 billion quid of British taxpayers' money because Starmer and his mates have got post-colonial guilt.
Yep.
This is madness. But hang on, because I know we always have limited time. I accept that. It's even worse because they've never told, not only have they lied to Parliament about what it would cost, and they've been caught red-handed now, they've never told us why. They've said that there is some legal threat to the security of the base, but despite being asked repeatedly by me, Priti Patel, James Cartledge, Kemi Badenoch, they have never explained in Parliament what that legal threat is. And we believe it's completely spurious, and they're deliberately trying not to debate it. We've had what are called urgent questions again and again to drag them to the dispatch box, and we've asked them till we're blue in the face, no pun intended, what is this legal threat that you think we've got to pay 35 billion quid of taxpayers' money to avoid? And they simply will not answer the question. So when we get back, one, why did you lie about how much it costs? And two, what is this legal threat? What really is it?
And three, if I can suggest, do you understand that the people who didn't vote for you are up in arms because they themselves are struggling? I just want to ask you about, if I can, just migration quickly, if you're happy to do that. I had Sarah Poin from Reform just then. She held a press conference this morning. She told reporters that a quarter of sexual assault convictions last year were committed by foreign nationals, which is absolutely outrageous. She warned of people come into this country with different cultures, and it was time we woke up and did something about that. You no doubt will say, yes, we agree with that. Again, I would say this. 5-10 years ago, you would have been hoisted by your own petard. If you dared to mention these things, you'd have been called every name under the sun. But the fact of the matter is, when you wake up to stories of sports, people coming to this country attacking women, when you wake up to stories of small boat migrants getting taxpayer-funded days out and perks coming out of their ears, and we go back, messages, I'm walking where I live and there's veterans on the streets begging for food. What? Why? How have we got to this point? Surely, Mark, Francois, we need to grow a pair and toughen up. We're too soft, the pull is too great, and we need to start turning people away or deporting them, don't we?
Well, look, I know my constituents are angry. I see that in my email inbox, every day, Jeremy. And we had a plan. It was called the Rwanda plan. Now, some people liked it and some people didn't, and we should have got on with it quicker. But at least we had a plan. It's one more plan than Labour have got. They've got no plan at all. Every week we have a different gimmick. We had this idea, it's going to be, 17 in and 1 out. I mean, people look at that and they laugh their heads off, and they simply have no plan. And the reason they cannot stop it is it's the same reason as Chagos. It's because they are a government of human rights lawyers. The Prime Minister is a human rights lawyer. Many prominent members of his cabinet are or are firm advocates of the ECHR. And because of that, they cannot do anything that would cut across the European Convention on Human Rights or the 1998 Human Rights Act. And because of that, they will never stop the boats.
Extraordinary. It's always great to have you on, Mark. You're right, we don't always have enough time, but your party's position is clear on the Chagos deal. 35 billion they reckon it could cost. It makes you think one thing, doesn't it, mate? Whenever he stands up and goes, we inherited a black hole of 22 billion, then you spent 11 billion on your union mates who have come back for more, and now you spent 3 times, not 1.5 times that, on the Chagos Islands. Mark Francois, MP, Conservative Defence Minister, Shadow Defence Minister, MP for Rayleigh and Wickford. Thank you very much indeed. What is it, 22 minutes to 5 o'clock? We're live across the United Kingdom. JK on Drive, I'm back. 87222, start your message with the word talk. Jack Elsom from the Sun newspaper covering it all because he's hugely important and very switched on. He's next on Drive.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 20 minutes to 5 o'clock. Jodie, stop fretting. I won't say a word. You've told me something private. I'm not going to repeat it on air. I've never done that. Ryan's looking mortified. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a shocking piece of information I'm not allowed to tell you. There is some breaking news, though. Breaking. Can we have a drum roll? No. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Jesus Christ, honestly, have signed a new multi-year first-look deal for film and television projects with Netflix, the latest channel to be sucked in and blown out the other end. The couple have just announced this. The Sun newspaper reporting a special Christmas cooking show. I hope it's more exciting than the bloody fruit platter. With Meghan, it's going to be released in a new documentary following the pair, which would be fantastic. So they've screwed, what was it, the first Spotify? They don't want anything to do with them. 1 year. Oh, they've been Netflix are ridiculous. But there we go. That's exciting. More millions in the Sussex bank account. And you'll be looking forward to Meghan Markle. It's so wholesome to be able to serve a turkey and amongst all your family on Christmas Day. I didn't do it myself. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, honest to God, how does that work? We're going to Coventry, which is where they should bloody well send Meghan Markle. Simon, good afternoon. You're on Drive.
Good afternoon, Jez. How are you?
Well, I'm all right, but now Meghan Markle's getting millions for bloody cookery show. What's wrong with us all? We've all gone nuts in this country.
I'm a Republican, so I don't really care about them.
Ooh, well, crack on.
So obviously, the thing about these hotels, obviously, you've got a hotel that you stay in, you've got a motel that you drive up to. So
yes.
We've got a country full of motels.
A wotel?
Boatel.
Oh, boatel. I see what you did there, you see. Hotel you stay in, Amy, right? Motel you drive up to. Boatel.
Yeah. So basically, these people, right, they're bored. And that's the problem. So they're out working, they're out doing like stuff on the black market because they've got too much time on their hands. Now, in the 19th century, this country dug railways and in the tube network. Give them a pick, a shovel and a bucket, send them to work 12 hours a day. They won't be bored. They won't have the energy to go delivering food.
On a serious note, what I would say, whether that's an idea or not, and everybody is entitled to their opinion, what I keep coming back to is, if you say to somebody, you can come here, do bugger all, and end up better off than people who have been here for years and have paid taxes and expect, quite rightly, to get something back, it's a recipe for disaster. I'm not spouting Thatcher because there's much about Thatcher I didn't agree with, but there was some speech she did in the Commons in the 80s, and she said, of course, you know, it was about the Vietnamese boat people. We should have people here who are having a really hard time. But she said, if you get to a point where you are allowing people from other countries to come here because they're just after a better life and they give nothing back in return, you will have international chaos. And that, Simon, my friend, in Coventry, is where I think we're at. 17 minutes to 5 o'clock. This young man next is, well, it makes my heart glow. He's so successful now, and he does speak to me quite a lot. The political editor of The Sun, Jack Elsom.
Good afternoon, Jeremy.
How's life, dear boy?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. I've just come back from the Isle of Wight, where I went back to see my parents for a week. Although it was one of those holidays where you need a holiday afterwards.
Did you go on your own, Jack, back to your parents? Did you go on your own?
Listen, I know you're trying to delve into my private life. However,
it's all over Instagram. All right, I'll change tack.
I have a private Instagram account, as you well know.
Oh, it's not going to be private too long. No, I'm only joking. But here's the thing: I've got a joke for you, and I know you've got a sense of humour. What's brown and steaming and comes out of cows?
The Isle of Wight ferry.
Hey, Jackie boy, you got it. Right, honestly, mate, let's get to it. You don't want to talk about the Duke and Duchess. We've got better things to talk about.
No.
Let's start with Sarah Poin, Reform's MP for Runcorn and Helsby, was with me earlier. They've said that migrants from Muslim countries pose a threat to women's safety in Britain, as the party's only female MP told reporters earlier that a quarter of sexual assault convictions last year, Jack, were committed by foreign nationals, as she warned of the risk of sexual assault and rape. It strikes me that that's probably very true. It strikes me that that's one of those things that certain parts of the establishment and the media, to be fair, wouldn't want to talk about. That's how politics and political reporting is changing, because I mean, I think a lot of people will take that on board. They'll have an opinion. We couldn't have said that 5 years ago, could we?
Well, I think that newspapers like The Sun and channels like Talk have long been exposing the dangers of illegal migration. But in terms of the actual acceptance and repetition in wider society, I think you're totally right. And this thing that in politics we call the Overton window, the sort of parameters in which mainstream discourse is discussed, you are right. And that is because that over the past not even 7 years since the illegal migration crisis started, but really since Tony Blair, when the floodgates of migration came open, we have had government after government promising to get a handle on things. We have had more migration into this country, both legally and illegally, going against the wishes of voters. And what we are seeing now, really, and I think this is why we are starting to get real anger, is an illegal migration crisis, which is spiraling into a national security and a safety crisis. And people are totally fed up with it. And we ran a story in The Sun a few weeks ago, which showed Freedom of Information data showing that in London alone, 40% of all of the sexual assault or sex crimes charges, prosecutions proceeded against crimes last year were committed by foreign nationals. And
so why then,
yeah.
if newspapers like your fantastic newspaper, The Sun, and Talk, common sense, free speech, we have an opinion, everybody's right. Why does the left-wing government, why does the left-wing establishment, why does so many millions, apparently, of people in this country refuse to accept that women's safety is at risk? That great story in the front of The Sun today. Welcome to Perk Britain. I mean, how do they genuinely, without losing my mind, how do politicians or institutions expect hard-working Brits who are struggling with council tax, with the cost of food, with the cost of energy going through the roof, how do they expect them to respond to stories in The Sun today whereby martial arts classes are discounted, football tickets are discounted, e-bikes are discounted, when army veterans and pensioners are being screwed over? Why are we saying to people from foreign countries who we don't know who they are, we don't even vet them, they could be criminals, they could just be lazy, but, I'm being completely honest, do they honestly think, Jack, that it's going to be OK to carry on treating these people better than the indigenous population? And I hate to say that, but it's a fact.
No, I don't think they do. But the problem is the system is just so broken these days. I don't even think you can use the word broken. It's just absolutely, totally collapsed in this sense. And I think that while asylum seekers who come to this country illegally, jump the queue, are getting discount perks much cheaper than the law-abiding majority, while it is absolutely shocking, the even more shocking thing these days, I think we've talked about it before, is that no one's even surprised anymore.
But that's yes.
And that is what is really depressing about this whole thing.
Yes.
It is that people just keep going, oh, well, of course this is the case. I think that's what's really damaging. And Matt Goodwin's written a fantastic piece in The Sun today, which I'd encourage people to read. And he talks about the social contract between governments and voters just totally fraying to the point of almost breaking. Because government after government has been elected on a manifesto and promises to getting a grip on both legal and illegal migration. For the past 5, 6, 7 elections, that has not happened. And so what are voters meant to do now? Because they are just totally losing trust in anyone's ability to get a handle on this. And it's not just reducing raw numbers, it's stopping taxpayer money being chucked at the problem. It is stopping perks like the kind that you've seen on the front page of The Sun today. Also, this whole thing about hotels and HMOs. There was an awful story I read in the Times earlier about a single mother who was living in a house in Bolton with her kids, renting. Her landlord told her that she had to get out in a few months' time. And then neighbours on the street said that a few months later, Serco turned up, refitted the house, and six asylum seekers moved in, presumably because the landlord had a better offer.
You and I were talking about this last month, that is now sweeping Labour-controlled councils where they're putting private renters on the streets, homelessness is through the roof, and because, business people who own properties are taking government deals for 3 years for a set fee to house migrants, and they're getting complete refurbishment. So then you're now saying to people who can't afford to get on the property ladder, you're not even going to be able to rent because you're going to be usurped by the government. I just, I know I talk about it a lot, but I just feel that whether it's migration, whether it's net zero, whether it's, I don't know, releasing all these prisoners, I'm not sure, and it isn't even me being anti-Labour. I completely agree with what you said about Matt Goodwin, because there is... We've looked back about how the British public don't like the expenses thing. They think politicians have lied. I think there's an ever-growing mistrust that politicians will ever do. I said to Sarah Pochin just then, you talk about leaving the ECHR, what about the legal ramifications? She said, if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do something. Now, maybe they'll get elected and do it, but everybody I know says that will be impossible.
Yeah, listen, I think that...
It shouldn't be impossible, by the way. The elected government should be able to do what they damn well want.
No, it shouldn't. And often the sort of ECHR proponents say things like, oh, well, yeah, if you leave the ECHR, we'll be in the same category as countries like Russia or Belarus, or Australia or New Zealand or Canada or the US. Human rights suddenly wasn't invented in 1950. We did have them beforehand. And it does seem that, and Kemi Badenoch's been out making this point today, that, that human rights Act and the European Convention of Human Rights seems to have warped out of all recognition to what it was originally invented to do. And it's incredibly encroaching on national sovereignty. Obviously, the Human Rights Act's been weaponized by left-wing lawyers to fight deportations on ridiculous, bogus reasons.
Absolutely.
Everyone remembers Chicken Nugget Gate, and that seemed to be the tip of the iceberg.
What about Sex Toy Gate? Do you remember Sex Toy Gate?
Yeah, it just seems that every single day in the newspapers you read these ludicrous stories about the weaponization of the Article 8 right to a family life. Now, listen, I think that just the published patience has totally snapped with this one. And I don't actually agree with the often criticism at Labour that they just don't care about it. I think that Keir Starmer knows damn well that if he does not fix this, then he will be booted out at the next election. I just think that their ideas aren't radical enough. And there are many people inside the Labour family now who are pushing Keir Starmer to go much further because they're looking at these polls, they're looking at reform, snaffling all of their voters and at the fact they're going to be toast in the next election. And they're thinking, we have to get on with this and do something radical. You know, often you think about, you know, national emergencies. Keir Starmer the other day said that the illegal migration crisis is a national security issue. He said that on the stage with Macron. So why on earth is it taking so long to enact these radical actions? Why is this boat deal with France 50 a week? You know, why is this borders bill, which they claim is going to solve everything, taking so long to get through the Commons? When British Steel was about to collapse, they got it all through the Commons in one single day.
Couldn't agree more. Listen,
there's not the same urgency.
You can tell you and I have been on holiday. We're not stopping talking. Mate, love the bones of you. Glad you had a good break. Thank you so much indeed. Jack Elsom, political editor from The Sun. What is it, 8 minutes to 5? This is Talk Drive.
I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to come on this morning was just say thank you to all the people who've given really nice tributes. And even like when we were at the hospice, there are a couple of handwritten letters arrived from people who'd heard he was there. Yeah. That he'd maybe spoken to once in 1970. Right. He'd been kind to them and they felt the need to write in. So thank you to everyone.
But there really wasn't anybody like him.
No, he's a big hole to fill. It's just, I miss him terribly. Yeah. He was thinking of making a little video, but he decided against that in the end, like a something to be played at his funeral or whatever, but he decided not to do that in the end.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is talk.
5 minutes to 5. A voice note from Hammer on the immigration crisis. Go!
I am absolutely sick of the Tories telling everyone that they had a plan, the Rwanda plan. No plan will work. The only plan that's going to work is no benefits, no money, no hotels, Navy in the Channel, turn the boats back, deport. That should be the only plan anyone has ever spoken about. Oh, and by the way, I'm a mother of 2, I'm 41, and me and my family are leaving the country, as is my brother and his wife and my other brother and his girlfriend. So that says it all, doesn't it?
Well, that's 60 viewers gone. That's quite depressing. I completely agree with Hannah. Let's go to Staffordshire. Jake, you've got 2 minutes. You're on Talk Drive. Go.
Hi, mate. I'm a lorry driver, right? Leave it 2 o'clock in the morning to go and feed animals at dairy farms. I get up in the morning, I get up early, and I've got a 7-month-old little girl and a partner at home. She's had to cut her maternity leave early because the amount that you get is ridiculous anyway. It doesn't cover hardly anything, right? So she's had to finish her maternity leave early. Obviously, I'm doing God knows what hours a week. And with the little time that I do get at home, the 3 of us as a family, we like to go out, we want to do something. Now, all these things that these immigrants are getting for either for free, discounted, money towards, are the things that we have to save up, we have to work hard to pay for. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're all doing God knows what hours, and then they can just live the merry life doing all the things that we have to work hard for, but for free. It's ridiculous.
And here's the thing, right? So people who say that, people like Hannah who just did the voice note, right? The left will tell you that's racist, that's unfair. These people are coming from war-torn countries, and that.
Call me far right, then crack on. I'm proud of my country, and I think our country's in absolute chaos right now, and it's such a shame because, as I'm sure you'll agree, we're proud to be British. I mean, I've got my partner at home. She doesn't even want to leave the house with our little girl if I'm not with her, and that's the point that it's got to. She's scared to even leave our front door. It's ridiculous.
Mate, I completely agree with almost everything you've said, and I think we've reached a seminal point. I keep saying it. Thank you, Jake in Staffordshire. We'll do more of your calls after the break. 0344 499 1000. I just, for many months and many years, we've been saying it on this station, and people have been going, oh. Forget me, forget Mike, forget this station. Go outside the M25 corridor and ask hard-working British people who've paid their taxes and their stamp. Ask veterans who are on the streets so migrants be given social housing. That's not racist, that is unfair. And when your indigenous population is being treated unfairly, they will do something about it. I have to say a very good afternoon to my amazingly talented daughter Ava and her mate Tyler. They're watching. That's 2. Why are you watching? That's very kind of you to it. I'm quite shy now. Stan was like the posh boy in the school playground, nicking money from mummy's purse to give to the big boys to stay safe. He's a creep, says Mick. Karen in Newcastle, way, yay, man! Jez, my daughter works in a well-known shop next to a migrant hotel. She works till 10 at night. It's often shoplifting from those in hotel, but we have to collect her in car at night after work because it puts the fear of God into her. This is the reality. What do you make of it all in the news today? 0344 499 1000. Text 87222. Voice notes, same number, I've forgotten what it is. Just start it with Watford a crap. Good afternoon. Right, news at 5 on the way, and I'll tell you the worst story of the day. We're going to ban the word mum and dad next. Jesus.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Before I get back to the phone lines, honestly, there are moments in my life when I sit here and I think, I am losing the plot. Pin back your lug holes, dear friends. One of Britain's wokest councils, do we know where it is? Oh, yes, Merton Council, South London. They've told staff to call parents caregivers instead of mum and dad. This is part of their new inclusivity guide. It's a 27-page document sent to employees, encouraging them to change the words they use in the workplace. Another great story by the Sun newspaper. It told workers to stop using the words young, old or mature to describe people. That's ageist. It's not just mum and dad on the way out, with mother and father also a no-go, according to the document. The Labour-run council says it aims to reduce the chances of staff making assumptions about a child's biological parents. The change in terminology is also supposed to recognise diverse family formation, because it could be mummy and mummy, or daddy and daddy, or trans mummy with... Honest to Christ, where are we going to finish? Where's it all going to end? What's wrong with... honestly, I am... my daughter Ava's listening. She's howling with laughter now, because I am turning into your granddad live on telly every day. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Head north to Cambridgeshire. Chris, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon.
Hello, Jeremy. How you doing, mate?
I'm not bad for a balding 60-year-old has-been. What about you?
Doing all right for a 77.
Well, try and sound a bit happier, mate. I was depressed when I spoke to you. Now I'm even more depressed.
I'm going to cheer you up a bit, because I've had a big idea of what we can do to occupy some of these immigrants.
Oh.
Yes, something for them to do which will be very valuable for the British economy.
What's that?
Well, for starters, there must be loads of these empty boats floating around that they brought over with them.
Yes.
So we take some of them. We take all those rubbishy oars and whatever they've left behind laying about the beach, and we hand them to those people who came with them. We put them in the boats, we supply them with a little compass, and we point them to France, and we say, "Get out!"
Well, I have an idea that even the Sarah Pochin an hour ago from Reform said that's. I completely agree, Jeremy. Tell me what you think of this. I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it, and Ryan gets more and more annoyed, but he can just shut up. That's the way it is. Just joking.
Yeah.
I'd get a big liner, I'd recondition it, one of those old
Why waste the money on it?
No, just wait.
Send them straight home.
Yes, but this is better. I would build a detention centre on one of the Scottish islands.
But that costs us money.
Midges, snakes, freezing cold. And I would make these people understand that we are not going to wipe their backsides. Do you know how many people say to me, right? All the do-gooders go, oh, but Jez, you're being really unfair. They're coming from war-torn countries. How many times... Honestly, France is not war-torn. You get a beach tent in France, you get a 4-star hotel here. Be gone. I'd send the Navy into the Channel. I don't give a toss what anybody says. You're a star. Chris in Cambridgeshire. We'll head south. Gloucester from dark to... Never mind. David, you're on Tour Drive. Good afternoon.
Good evening, Jeremy.
Right, should we do that again? Because that was crap, and I'm trying to create a show that looks like it's professional. So stand by, David. We're doing take 2. Let's head south to Gloucester. David, you're on Tour Drive. Good evening.
Good evening, Jeremy. How are we all?
What do you mean all? Oh, you mean all that lot through there? Oh, they're young and dumb and...
Your team. So, you know, it's good to speak to Jodie when she picks up the phone.
Yes, Jodie's doing very well. She's an Everton fan. She's very happy today.
Oh, well, that's good, then.
Yes. Oh, hold on. The mother-in-law's texted. She'll be ironing. What does she put? Hold on. Let's just read this out to the nation. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Don't even know what she's laughing about. Deranged. Honestly, they do say, look at your mother, and that's what your wife becomes. I'm going to see a lawyer tomorrow. Right, crack on. What's happening?
Well, I just said, well, why is it he's now got a 60 billion, or Starmer has now got a 60 billion pound plus black hole?
I'll tell you exactly why, because he apparently started with 22, not that I believe that. He immediately spent 11 on his union friends, then he spent 30 billion on the Chagos Islands, so we're basically 3 times worse off than when he came to power a year ago.
Well, it's actually worse than that, because the other day they said there was a 28 billion pound black hole, which he didn't recognise. so say.
Truth is, David, in Gloucester, we are skint. We are skint. And that is why, on a serious note, the British people are kicking back, because when things weren't as hard as they are, I think what happened is people were, you know, they weren't perhaps as switched on to it. Now, now, hold on a second, energy costs through the roof, food bills through the roof, council tax going up, everything's a nightmare, taxation about to rise, and people are going, do you know what, you're taking the Michael out of us. David, I got to go. My respect to Gloucester, if that's possible. Hello to Steve from Church Stretton. Afternoon, Jeremy. Hope the holiday was good. Come back for a rest, mate. You try going on holiday before, kids. The country is broke. The whole makeup of the English society is in jeopardy. There is nothing racist about that. It is simply a fact that we are now being overrun by legal overstayers and migrants. The current government have no idea what to do to sort this mess out, and I'm not solely convinced that Starmer wants to stop them anyway. Lastly, where the hell are the government? They should have been recalled by now. I'm losing hope that we have time to draw this back before the English way is lost forever. Afternoon to Martin Waddington. Whitley Bear, lovely. Why did I do that accent? It's not even Whitley Bear, that were crap. Teaching illegal migrants martial arts for free. What's next? Will they be offered training as gardeners so they can qualify for a taxpayer-funded machete? Our country is now an idiocy. Where's the emergency exit? We're being laughed at. Welcome back, Jezza, says Lash. I bet when he goes out, he get... No. It's clear this government is terrified of their voters. They know just how thin their majority is, and everything they are doing is geared towards securing the next election. Securing? It's depressing thinking about the next 4 years of positioning and strengthening their political landscape. Lash, every day that goes by, they are proving to the British people they've got absolutely sod all about anything. Hello to James, who loves Sarah Poachin, and Warren in Lancashire. Up, Jezza. My gum. Stick your... No, don't start, Amy. Please read this out, mate. It's OK saying deport illegals once Reform are in power, but what if they've been given a blanket leave to remain? Can we deport them then? Also, Starmer will go before next election as he's a coward, and I wouldn't want to endure the election day slaughter if I were him. That's the only accent I'm doing all afternoon. 9 minutes past 5. We're live across the United Kingdom. He calls 0344 499 1000. We say a very good afternoon to a man who brings a degree of panache and style. He's like the posh part of Jeremy Kale's Drive Time show. We say a very good afternoon to Conservative commentator Benedict Spence. Your Lordship, how are you?
Hello, I'm well. What accent would you like me to do?
Do you know, you sort of went like that. Hello, peasant. How are you doing below stairs? Why are you ringing my bell, you odious little creep? Been a couple of weeks. Have you missed me?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. This is always the high point of my week when we get to go through all the dreadful things that are going on in the country, and we look at them through a very, pointed lens.
Do you know what I missed most when I was on holiday? When I woke up one morning and opened the Sun newspaper to hear that the homeless minister had to resign in the government because she'd been hiking rents and making people homeless. You can't bloody write this stuff. Benjamin,
it was a proper chef's kiss moment just reading that. It was one of those perfect. Yeah. If you couldn't have written it, even in war would have gone, no, that's ridiculous. I can't have that in a book.
And you imagine that conversation. There was not even any. Do you think I can see this out? No, just seriously, can you just sod off within about 30 seconds? This is beyond embarrassing, right? Mate, we started the show with Sarah Poachin, and I just wanted to touch upon it. She was saying something that a lot of people have been saying, but some people are not brave enough to say it, that migrants from Muslim countries pose a real threat to women's safety in Britain. She told reporters today that a quarter of sexual assault convictions last year were committed by foreign nationals. This, as I said, is something that is true. But for many years, we weren't willing or able to say that because the left would kick back and say you're being racist, you're being this, that and the other. But then women's safety is massively important, and it's right and proper that this is highlighted, isn't it?
Yeah, when you reach a critical mass of people being assaulted, children being assaulted, being molested, and it gets to a point where people can no longer cover it up, because the scale is just too large, well, yeah, the dam starts to break, and that's ultimately what has prompted a lot of the protest outside migrant hotels. These are not the far right. These are not organized by, Russian bots or any of the things that people in Westminster usually like to blame for things going wrong. This is just ordinary people who have had enough. They're fed up. They want the basic tenets of the social contract to be enforced. That is to say, their rights protected, their safety, and the safety of their children. And actually, the state sort of apparatus, left-wing journalists turning around and going, everything I dislike is Nazism and everyone I dislike is Hitler. Doesn't really work very well.
No.
I've got to be honest at this stage.
I completely agree with something you said there more than anything. You said the social contract, people feel it's breaking down. To me, we have a government who seems almost impervious. They don't seem to understand that fact, that basic fact, that whatever your political persuasion, I think a majority of people, millions in this country, feel that living their lives correctly as per they should have done and have always been brought up to do, whatever level in society, however successful, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That social contract has been broken by successive governments who do not seem to care or think that they should at least appear to care about the very people that put them there.
I think actually that a lot of our politicians don't quite understand the degree to which the social contract has broken down. Yeah. And it's not because they're too stupid or it's beyond their capabilities. It's because recognizing it and acknowledging it would mean then having to do things that they simply cannot contemplate doing because they would be politically very difficult to do. I mean,
but don't you get more credence in terms of legacy and sort of feeling that you've done something, even if you had a go at something that you couldn't achieve because you were fought back and you put your hands up and say, I've tried? Wouldn't that salve your conscience?
If our politicians were able to think that far ahead, then maybe, but they don't. They think very much in terms of 5-year cycles at most, and to be honest, they think about the next budget, they think about the next set of polling. They don't think that far ahead at all. And it is entirely understandable in some ways, because actually for a lot of politicians, no longer do they do this out of conviction, because they think it's the right thing to do. They go into politics because it's a job, and they don't want to lose their jobs. That's why they think about these things in such short-termism, because they think, I'm in trouble in a couple of years' time if I mess up and I'm voted out. That's my career gone. Especially seeing as now a lot of companies do not think it is prestigious to have former MPs on their board anymore. They think actually that's a sign of idiocy to have these sorts of people. But the point is, as one of your callers was talking about just there, talking about the massive black hole in the budget, we all know that it's there. There's no getting away from it. The government is effectively having to admit it, even though they're not actually admitting it. How on earth do you deal with that? Well, the reality is, at some point, you're going to have to cut spending. What do you cut your spending on? Do you cut spending on the huge amounts of benefits that are going to people in this country? Well, if you're a Labour MP, that might mean you lose your seat at the next general election because there are that many people in a lot of these constituencies who are on personal independence payments, who are on benefits of some sort. Does it mean that you cut spending on the NHS? No, because then lots of people who need the NHS will complain that you're killing their grandmother or even them. Do you cut money on the armed forces? Well, how on earth can you do that, given that you've just told everybody we need to prepare for a war with Russia? So what do you cut your spending on? There are really, really difficult decisions that have to be made. No government is brave enough to do it. And that's the reality.
But in basic layman's terms, right, hear me out. When you say they look at 2 or 3 years ahead in terms of are they going to lose their jobs, if the tide is so turned, if they realise that there's nothing they can do but to be brave, does that still not push their... I'd rather die on the altar of having tried to do something than sit there in the pews for the rest of my life going, oh, if only I'd tried that. Wouldn't you rather try something and fail, Spence?
I would. I think that there are some MPs who would. And let's be clear here. MPs who think that way don't get very far in politics because they're not considered team players. They're seen as very negative. They're seen as going potentially against what the government wants to do. They're seen sometimes as ideological traitors in the case of the Labour Party. It's actually very difficult. This was why they were always called the awkward squad when it was the Conservatives. It was people who pointed out awkward truths, would vote against the government, and would be ostracised. And that trait of the awkward little MP who speaks their mind and is a bit of a maverick, that is very much gone now in British politics because politicians have themselves, political parties, have tried to usher those people out of the way where possible. The only ones that currently exist, from what I can see, are Reform MPs and the crank wing of the Labour Party, which, of course, Keir Starmer has done his very best to try to isolate them as well.
And you've got to be pretty poor to be called a crank wing of that party. A couple of things for you, well, loads. Welcome to Perk Britain. Apparently, if you arrive, Benedict, Dinghy days out, which is the most farcical thing I've heard for migrants. Pound tickets to watch football matches, including Aston Villa. I wouldn't pay a quid for that. Discounts on martial arts classes and e-bikes at half price. All of this, if you come to good old Blighty, that will look after you. Now you're leaving your war-torn tent. Oh, there isn't war-torn. On the French beach, and you're going to come here, because obviously, and I think Sarah Poacher made a really good point earlier when she said, because, of course, If you had an illegal way to come in, you wouldn't come on a boat. So you clearly aren't a good one, right? So you're going to come over here and we're going to wipe your backside. Again, I mean, this story in the front of the Sun today is disgusting. And we sit here, don't we, week in, week out, and we go, well, this is a fact. When you said it, people will go, oh, yeah. I don't think they're saying that anymore. They're reading papers like the Sun and they're going, are you taking the mickey out of me or what?
Yeah, and again, the Overton window has shifted on this. Politicians, I think, still don't they're not prepared yet to fully face up to the realities of this situation. We can sit here, you and I and the listeners, and say that giving perks to people who have come into this country illegally is wrong. And the politicians might sort of drag their feet and go, oh, well, right, we'll do something about that. We'll stop them having free dinghy rides and day out at Alton Towers and all that sort of thing.
Dinghy rides! Jesus, it's...
Yeah. But the reality is, most people do not, in fact, think that that goes far enough. Most people think, as a general rule, if your first act is to break the law when you come into this country, you shouldn't stay in this country. Never mind about perks or whatever hotel you stay in. You shouldn't be in here for that to be a question. And this is the problem. The politicians, again, will drag their feet and they'll go, oh, what this law and this treaty says that we can't do it. Most people no longer care. They look at other countries that seem perfectly capable of deporting people pretty quickly, and they would just like to know what is it that about our country that means that we are continually taken for mugs.
Because we're bloody apologists, aren't we, for the past? I've lots to ask you quickly. Chagos deal. We had Mark Francois on. Starmer said 3.4 billion. It turns out it could be 10 times that. But the good news is, on a Monday afternoon in searing heat, where you're probably stuck in a traffic jam, wondering if you're ever going to get home to see your wife if she's still there. I didn't know why I said that. The good news is the Mauritian government are debt-free and Mauritians aren't paying any income tax for the next 12 months. So we're doing good by the Mauritian people, even if we're screwed in the UK, aren't we, Benedict? That's a nice, warm feeling, isn't it?
This deal alone should be enough to bring down this government.
Yeah.
In previous eras, this deal would have brought down a government. This would have been seen as a betrayal. It would have been seen as a frivolous waste of money. And the fact that actually they're just chuntering along with it anyway and they don't seem to care, and we all know that the MPs will just wave it through, that nobody will actually object, even as we sort of touched on earlier, even as we have this huge budgetary black hole and we're being told, oh, your taxes are going to go up and your services are going to be going down. 3.5 billion or 35 billion, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Shouldn't be penny one. Shouldn't be giving these things away. It's a disgrace, and it is a sign of where our country now is, that once upon a time those people who signed off on that deal would have been hounded out of public life.
Were you surprised, like me, that Donald Trump didn't kick off more about the Chagos Islands deal? I thought he would.
Oh, he doesn't care. He doesn't care because ultimately he still gets his military base. You know, as long as the US still gets to use that base, he doesn't care. And they'll cross that bridge when they come to it in 50 years' time or whatever it is. This is a British issue, and we are the ones shooting ourselves in the foot. Trump doesn't care who actually owns it, just as long as he gets to use it.
Have you ever considered living in South London under the auspices of Merton Council? Because this has to be the story of the day. One of Britain's wokiest councils has told staff to call parents caregivers instead of mum or dad, because mum or dad is about making assumptions about those child's biological parents, because the woman could have a penis and could be wanted to be called David, I suppose. The guide obtained by The Sun tells workers to stop using the words young, old or mature, because that's ageist. Mummy and daddy, mother and father, no-goes. That is not allowed anymore. That is wrong. No, you don't have a mother or father. This is alongside, I told you this before, we had a call about a year ago from a midwife, 27 years experience. Baby comes out, hands baby to daddy or mummy and says you have a beautiful baby son. They complained. It's our right to decide what he is or whatever, and frankly, and got a written warning after 27 years. And the kid had a penis.
First and foremost, that baby needed to be taken into care straight away.
That's true, yes.
That's a red flag right there off the bat. And second of all, if you are living in an area where actually a local authority is issuing that kind of guidance in your school, in your preschool, in your health, move. Don't live there.
No.
That's if they're normalizing what I would call insanity. Well, you don't want to be living with those people telling you what is what. That's non-acceptable.
Ryan's told me to hurry, but I have to do this very quickly with you. So he'll walk up and down in his check shirt, rubbing his chest, looking frustrated. That's what you can't say, but with a major development this afternoon, shopkeepers can now call criminals who steal from their stores scumbags. This has been admitted by the North Wales Police this afternoon. This was to clarify. I don't know if you remember this story last week. I was listening. Yeah. A shop owner in Wrexham was told that putting up a sign using the word could be offensive. Rob Davis put up a handwritten note in his shop after repeated thefts that read, "Due to scumbag shoplifters, please ask for assistance to open cabinets." Following a complaint from a member of the public, however, police officers attended his shop and said that the sign was offence. Well, it's not offence, it was today. The force issued a statement in which it confirmed that putting the sign up was not illegal. What a bunch of scuts. Honestly, what is wrong with this country?
It's good to know that the police have officially told us we're allowed to use the word scumbag. I was getting anxious because the amount of times I was using the word scumbag to discuss the story on the radio, I could have been in a lot of...
Could I just say that if you are anxious, if you phone up DWP, you'll be able to get 16 months off and full pay and probably some match tickets to Aston Villa, which will fill you with even more anxiety. Benedict, it's lovely to have you on. I realise how posh he is. He's got awnings. He's got drawn curtains. Have you noticed how posh he is? Very, very upmarket, and wooden shutters. 5:22, we're live across the UK. Jodie's very happy today. I think she's very happy because... Has Cameron asked you to get married yet, Jode? He's slow, him, isn't he? I have to have a word with him. He needs to... Ryan, have you asked... Are you married to Lauren? Oh, you're married to Lauren. What about you, Amy? You get married? You're married, are you? So it's only Jodie. What about Johnny? Everybody's married. Except for Cameron. Get a move on, man. For Christ's sake, you're going to lose her. I had a dream about a Cameron escalator. 0344 499 1000. It's Talk Drive.
They asked what was happening with the healthcare and they said, oh, don't worry, to make sure that we don't run up NHS waiting lists, we've given all the migrants nice private healthcare. And everyone was like, wait, hang on, so they're getting, you know, posh Bupa or whatever, whilst I'm calling the doctors at 8 a.m. begging for an appointment. How's that fair?
I know.
And they said, oh, but it's great for you because it means that they won't be taking up any space in your NHS.
The logic of this stuff is appalling, isn't it? And I mean, how many millions is this costing? Because if they handed out 1 million NHS passes, and so 1 million people are accessing even what, £100 worth of free stuff?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 5:26. Hello to my mate Rob, the legend in Newcastle. Whenever he sends me a text, you should listen because it's always from the heart. Jez, I'm 60. I have a 40-year-old kid who, whilst growing up, never needed me to warn her daily that she had to watch out for men, certain groups of men, and not to go to certain areas. Now, I find myself doing it daily for my 2 teenage girls. It worries me and sickens me. Our lives have changed. When we find out that grooming gangs flourished while the people in power, including the police, did nothing and sometimes collaborated with these people that raped and molested our children and is still happening, this undocumented, there are young men flooding our cities and they are committing crimes and it is not being reported. That is a fact. It is not racist. Basically, he says, people need to understand that the only way that we can change is by doing it together with reform. That's his view. Rob in Newcastle, 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Let's go to Leeds. Zach, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jeremy. I'm a huge fan of your work.
You're very kind, sir. Couple of minutes. What you got?
So my basic point was this. In the UK, we have got, women's safety is a huge issue. But if you look at countries in the Middle East, so like the UAE, like Qatar, for all their misgivings and all their faults, women are very, very safe there. They've got incredibly low levels of assaults on women. And the simple fact is we have no deterrent to it. You hear all the time of people attacking women or grooming children, and the sentences are just pathetic,
I couldn't agree more. And I said earlier, Zach, that dreadful story in Rotherham, which... and I'm not just pointing the fingers here at politicians. It strikes me from what I've read that it was almost anybody and everybody, all institutions, the police, local government, I don't know, the NHS, all sorts of people. But when you've got, 10 years after he was put in jail, one of the paedophile gang leaders back living in the same street, having served just 2 years and receiving nigh on 300 grand to fight his case, which he's using to buy a house in Pakistan. You can't help British people going, that's wrong. That's not racist to point that out, is it, Zach?
It's the furthest thing from this. It is frankly disgusting. And also you can't deport these people because their home countries don't take them back. So maybe we need to put pressure on the home countries. Why are we sending Pakistan aid when they refuse to take back rapists who have been released from prison?
Couldn't agree more, mate. It's great to have you on. My respect and regards to Leeds. That's Zach. Great call, 0344 499 1000. Just actually very quickly before we go to Robert Bates from the Centre for Migration Control. Kemi Badenoch, the Tory leader. Do you remember them, the Tory party? Used to be in power. She's just spoken about those migrant hotel protests that started in Epping. Let's have a look at what Kemi said. Here we go.
We need to make sure that communities like Epping are safe. What a lot of the parents, the mothers, and even some of the children have said to me is that they don't feel safe. It is unfair to impose this burden on communities, and then we see the sort of crimes that we were hearing about. Lots of people here have been talking about being harassed by a lot of people in the hotels. Not everyone here is a genuine asylum seeker. People are arriving in our country illegally, and that is why we have a plan to make sure that people who arrive here illegally are deported immediately. We need to close down that pathway to citizenship that means that lots of people get here not making any contributions, claiming welfare, claiming benefits, and we also need a deterrent. At the moment, we have hotels for people not being able to use them. It's not the right place to put a lot of these people. Neither are private homes. My worry is that things are actually going to get worse as Labour tries to move people out of hotels and into private accommodation. I think that is going to be a much worse situation.
I don't want to be biased or unfair. We try and play all sides of the argument. Well, what did she not say? Deterrent. What deterrent? What plan? You had 14 years. Whether you believed in Rwanda or not, you sat on your arses and didn't get it implemented. Maybe through fear. Maybe through fear of, we might say or do the wrong thing. Now, listen, my job is to put all sides. That's Kemi Badenoch saying, these poor people are feeling threatened and it's not right and we need to deport them and we need a deterrent. Put that up beside Sarah Poin from Reform on this show at 4 o'clock and what she said earlier about how these illegal migrants are affecting the safety of women in the UK. Have a listen.
The truth is, we have no idea who we're letting in. No idea how many of them have criminal records or who might be a red flag to our security services. How many are drug dealers, murderers, rapists, spies for hostile regimes, terrorists? What we do know is that this government is being forced, kicking and screaming, to accept that foreign nationals are 4 times more likely to commit rape or sexual assault than British men.
It's interesting, the difference, isn't it? Your thoughts on that? 0344 499 1000. Jez, if I hear one more Tory mention their waste of time and money Rwanda plan, I'm going to scream. Talk about having thought of nothing else since. If they did get back in, they'd probably just reinstate it and think they were doing a good job. Afternoon to Frankie. Regarding Chagos, we should have sold the Chagos Islands to the USA for £1 so Starmer could rid himself of colonial guilt and the UK would be £35 billion better off. And finally, in the Derbyshire Dales, Carl, I still don't understand how he was allowed to sell the overseas territories without the people of that territory having any say in it, and all the British people should have had a say as well. Very interesting. Listen, the migration thing does not and will not go away. That's a fact of life on this station. Whatever you want to talk about, 0344 499 1000. We say a very good afternoon to the spokesman. I think he's more than a spokesman, isn't he? It's dreadful. The Centre for Migration Control, Robert Bateman. Robert Bates, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, Jeremy. You okay?
Look at you in your check shirt. I've got 11 down. What's 14 across, man?
It's Barber Don't, you know. I'm very proud of it.
You're what?
Very proud of it.
Are you? Where did you get it from, the shirt?
It's a brother's hand-me-down, so please
I don't want you to be traumatised or get anxious because I'm just having a bit of fun about your shirt. I don't want you to have 6 months off because it's all a little difficult. Mate, thanks for coming on. I thought, this migration, we can talk about numbers, we can talk about perks on the front of the Sun newspaper today, we can talk about Sarah Poach in there talking quite forcibly about how many of these single men are coming over and committing crimes, some of them sexual crimes. And the fact is, this is, Robert, a problem that I almost hate to say this to you, but this is a problem that's starting to just be part of the very fabric of our lives. Somebody needs to bloody well do something about this, don't they? Have the will to do something about it.
I think it's been a fabric of certain communities' lives for quite a while, ever since the Tories decided that putting these undocumented illegal migrants in communities, hotels and homes across the Red Wall in particular, across the north in particular. We've really seen that these patterns emerge and exist for several years now. I think what's changed is these high-profile attacks, these high-profile charges that have been laid against asylum seekers in hotels, against young school children. And I think the penny has dropped now in the public psyche that there is a very clear causal link between an increase in sex crimes and the lack of control that we are seeing at our borders. And I think what we are seeing is groups such as Reform, the Tories, other independent MPs dragging the government, kicking and screaming into admitting that there is a very clear link. And I think that was the reason why we saw the Justice Secretary announcing her plans to deport those foreign national offenders.
Can I stop you there and ask you a question, though? You're the expert, I'm not. I've heard on about 5 occasions already today what you just said, which is this government has been sort of dragged screaming and kicking by independent MPs, by Reform, by the Tories, blah, blah, blah. Why, Robert, do these people in power need to be dragged screaming and kicking when young girls from this country, it's not racist to say this, have been groomed and raped by men coming from different cultures and different countries? This cannot be hidden. This is not made up. This is not far-right rhetoric. This is a fact. If that is true, why would our government not have more desire to protect those young victims than seemingly make Mauritians not pay any income tax for the next 12 months, to grab a phrase out of wherever? I don't understand it. Where's the morality, man?
The problem is those that govern us are, of course, left-wing ideologues, and rather than address the uncomfortable fact that men from different cultures perhaps have a medieval attitude towards women and girls, they've instead tried to claim that the problems arriving in the statistics are the result of a failure of integration. And if we just have more money put into integration strategies, we just give more benefits.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that actually it's living proof that much integration or some integration doesn't bloody well work, rather than spending more money trying to force it down people's throats?
It's failed, and I think that's why we are starting to see the Labour government have to grapple with this uncomfortable fact. Of course, this series of high-profile news stories comes on the back, of course, of the Casey audit as well, which made a very clear link between Pakistani males and asylum seekers with the grooming and sexual exploitation of young working-class girls. So the scales have really had no choice but to fall from the eyes of politicians, as much as they reluctantly like to think that perhaps this is an uncomfortable conversation. I think what we are seeing as a result of it, I think the likes of Reform and Robert Jenrick and whatnot, talking about this endlessly, is there is nowhere for them to run now. They are having to embrace the policy prescriptions, the ideas and the arguments of those.
I mean, what I'm asking you from the Centre for Migration Control is, did Starmer, on the day he got in with his 180-seat majority, did he think that the British public were going to buy the fact that he had, in hindsight, absolutely nothing in the tank to deal with this? That they, I mean, I keep being told by people that there is not the will to do something about it because it's too difficult. I would rather, I said it earlier, I would rather die on the altar of having tried to do something, even if I got deselected 5 years later, because my conscience would be bleeding clear. What do these people think? There is no future for any politician in this country. This is a big statement, Ryan. I don't think, unless they face the reality that migration is out of control and the British people want answers. They don't want bluff. They don't want sound bites. They want a bloody answer to something, and I could give them I mean, listen, I've done it 3 times recently. I don't understand why it's so difficult. We're so wrapped up in trying to do the right thing by everybody else, we're screwing our own people and our own country to bits.
And if politicians don't listen now to the attitudes of the British public, so strong they now are, we now know that most Brits would prefer net negative immigration, not a single more migrant entering the country, and then those that have arrived recently being removed. That's now a mainstream popular position. If politicians aren't prepared to embrace where the numer of the public are, they are going to be left behind. This is just simply the times we live in. The Overton window, as it's called, is shifting so far towards what many would argue is actually common sense, the idea that if you want...
Oh, you're using our phrase now. Donald Trump uses it. Everybody... We should have patented at Talk, that phrase, common sense. We'd have made millions, man. You're using it now.
Very neatly what has sadly been lacking from the Home Office for the last 10, 15 years. They've embarked on this open border experiment. They've really changed communities transformatively, and they've chosen to look the other way as people have been rightly trying to point out the problems, the social, economic and cultural costs associated with this programme. And now what we are finally seeing is the sheer outrage, the sheer anger the British public actually feel about this issue has reached such a crescendo roar that there is nothing that can be done by politicians but begin to address those concerns. The integration argument, the idea of it just being needing to manage more carefully, if we're just more sensible with our community cohesion strategies and this will all be fine, is complete nonsense. The idea that you can kind of compensate for this with greater investment in community services just doesn't cut it. People want a sense of belonging to a harmonious, cohesive country without bringing in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of males that pose a risk to our women and children. This is, to coin the phrase again, a very common sense approach. And whether politicians like it or not, and there's not much of that on the Labour front benches, they are going to have to start listening to what the public are saying.
Couldn't agree more. Lovely to have you on, Robert. Thank you so much. And genuinely, I do like this shirt. I'm slightly jealous. I might go and buy one. 0344 499 1000, 20 minutes to 6. We're back in 3 on Drive.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
The main man back tomorrow morning. You need to be nowhere else at 6 o'clock in the morning. The legend that is Mike Graham back 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Ethiopia. On Wednesday morning, for your delectation, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joining him on breakfast from 6 a.m. That'll be fun. 18 minutes to 6 o'clock. 0344 499 1000. I'm looking around because I'm trying to work out what the hell I'm doing next. Let's go to Derbyshire. Gary, Gareth, Gerald. You're on tour drive. Hello.
How are you, Jeremiah? It's actually Garfield, big orange thing. Listen, why hasn't anybody mentioned the elephant in the room in all this? And that is the legal age of maturity of a girl, that it's 16 years old. In a lot of these other countries, it seems you can get married at 11 or 13 to a 45-year-old man. What should happen is, Jeremy?
I'm listening.
God, it's gone up. Hello?
I'm listening.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were right. Why aren't people being told at what age the age of consent is?
Right.
Because it's got all the makings of another grooming gang scandal.
The point that you make, Gary, is a really good one, and it's a point that Sarah Pochin was making earlier, which is, without being specific, if you allow people who have a different view about how women should be treated to run amok, for want of a better phrase, under no control in this country, you end up causing social division. And the irony of this government and the irony of this, and it started with Blair, let's import all these people into this country to help our economy. I'd have made the ones who weren't working, I'd have kicked them out of bed and made them work. But there we go. The truth of the matter is you will end up with different values, different sets of values. Thank you to Gary. Let's go to Cheshire. Roger, you're on Tour Drive. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. One idea I have is to take illegal migrants out of the legal aid system.
Take them out of the legal... Yes.
Not available.
Yeah, but what chance have you got, Rog, when my favourite story in the world from a year ago, or 2 years ago now, this is the only time I've sat on air here with my mouth on the floor. Do you remember when the civil servants in the Home Office thought we don't like the idea of Rwanda? I know you taxpayers are paying our wages to carry out the wishes of a democratic government. We're going to find a lawyer. We're going to get you to pay for them to take on the government that we work for because we disagree with them. We're as soft as... Man, I can't say the word that on air, but we are as soft as anything, and we allow people to have lawyers to argue the toss with anything because we seemingly care about... I mean, I'm all for doing things correctly, but we've got to a point where we tie ourselves in knots legally, don't we?
Well, listen, sometime I was thinking about, I don't know how many years ago now, they took divorce out of the legal aid system.
Yes,
now,
I know.
I don't know if it's been reinstated.
No, it hasn't. No, I know that, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. That's great.
If they can take one thing out of the legal aid system, surely they can take another and a more important one, so that you don't get... I mean, these people who, if an immigrant basically gets his case refused, it then gets kicked into the even further long grass with appeals, which not only takes time but costs fortunes.
What do you make of... I always try, as much as I can, I always try and see both sides. What do you make of the people who are literally, not obstinate, but incandescent when they hear things like you and I are saying? They go, you don't understand how you're being racist and these poor people. And I go, well, hold on a minute, before shouting at me, they haven't brought their women and children. Apparently the bombs are still raining down on them. They've come here because we're as soft as what's it to throw the passports in the sea. This is a Mickey take out of the British people, isn't it?
Well, completely. I mean, it was Macron that said one of the problems is you're too generous here.
That's a bit rich from a bloke taking 500 million quid off for marrying his English teacher, isn't it? Thanks very much indeed, Roger. You're very kind. What is it, 14 minutes to 6? We're live across the UK. I don't know who this is, but a British Prime Minister, Jez, who knowingly lies to Parliament would typically be expected to resign. This is about the Chagos silence. After all, Starmer asked Johnson to do that all the time. The ministerial code and the expectation of honesty in public life create a strong convention that a minister who deliberately misleads the House should step down. So why is Starmer not being forced to resign in the Labour Party? It's time... Oh, he's one of those people saying it's time the King closed Parliament. It's not going to happen. Heather Sewell, good afternoon. Politicians don't understand what a social contract means. They're not listening to us, the people, and it's tough. They will lose their seats in the Commons and get voted out. They have to suffer the consequences of not listening. Kate with a C. Not a kicking cur, a curly cur. There's me and my fat... What are they called? Phonics. I can't even say the word properly. Jez, can you please refrain from taking our Lord's name in vain? Is it offensive to the many Christians who watch your show? I do apologise, Kate. But I've upset her now. Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, bugger. Oh, never mind. This is Talk Drive.
One of the reasons I wanted to...
Thank you to the 10,000 plus people who signed my petition, says Fiona Braverman, objecting to these migrant hotel plans. Very pleased that the Home Office has listened to local people and local Conservative councillors and dropped plans to put illegal migrants and asylum seekers in the heart of Waterlooville.
You want to close the hotels, the government's closing the hotels.
Yeah, but they're also putting them into...
The demand was close the hotels, government's doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure a lack of social housing as the net result of that is something people are necessarily going to welcome.
They asked what was happening with the healthcare and they said, oh, don't worry, to make sure that we don't run up NHS waiting lists, we've given all the migrants nice private healthcare. And everyone was like, wait, hang on, so they're getting, you know, posh Bupa or whatever, whilst I'm calling the doctors at 8 a.m. begging for an appointment. How's that fair?
I know.
And they said, oh, but it's great for you because it means that they won't be taking up any space in your NHS.
The logic of this stuff is appalling, isn't it? And I mean, how many millions is this costing? Because if they handed out 1 million NHS passes, and so 1 million people are accessing even
across the UK on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
About 10 to 6. Jez, welcome back to this mundane world. How's about this for a discounted dinghy trip? Put them all in the boats they arrived in, give them the oars and point them all back to France, free of charge. Good luck. Very brilliant. Anne Sewell says, JK, I hate to upset you, but the migrants' half-price dinghy rides, football tickets, they don't pay half. The taxpayers pay half. Their half is free. Brilliant. 10 to 6. Breaking news. Breaking. Very, very exciting news. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to a little test for you now. I might even give a prize. We announced this an hour ago. Meghan and Harry's Netflix deal has been extended as a special Christmas episode of the cooking show, and a new documentary are going to be announced. So Harry and Meghan's Netflix deal, rather than being thrown out as being extended, which tells you everything about Netflix, they're going to create a Christmas special, right? I was wondering, what would you call it? I might give a prize for this, right? We'll get, you know, something. We'll think of something. A date with Joe. I'm joking. What would you call Harry and Meghan's Christmas special apart from crap? 8722. Should you want to look at this? Was the trailer, right? This was the trailer for Meghan's last cooking show. This was utter garbage. Have a look.
Always loved taking something pretty ordinary and elevating it. Surprising people with moments that let them know I was really thinking of them.
What? This is probably one of the most glamorous moments of my life.
It's magic. Jesus, it's me. That was the cooking that she didn't do, not in her house, because she can't cook. Harry and Meghan have signed a new deal with Netflix. It's going to include a Christmas special. What would you call it? I'd call it crap. 87222, start your message with the word talk. We needed to find a royal correspondent, but everybody was busy, so we ended up with Rupert Bell. Good afternoon, Belly.
Good afternoon, JK. I thought that might have been the case, but anyway, I'm glad that I've managed to find time to talk to you this evening.
Shall I tell you, you've got over your left shoulder that Dirty Jilly Cooper novel, haven't you, Belly? I can see that. Yes.
Have I? Yes, I have. Yeah. Well, I like to make sure I understand what's going on in the world.
Got you there, didn't I?
Yeah, bearing in mind I live in the Cotswolds and we're overrun with security vans near Chipping Norton where I live, so we can't move for policemen around parts of the Cotswolds at the moment, so there you go.
Well, think of all the people who are listening to this who can't go anywhere for illegal migrants. You're very lucky. You've just got the US Special Forces there. Buddy, this was a breaking story an hour ago. Harry and Meghan's... So I thought sort of bridges were burnt and everybody had woken up to the fact that these two are not value for money. So first question is this a new deal? Is this an extended deal? What's the fact?
I think it is what they call a first look deal. So they get, they take ideas and Netflix then decide whether they want to progress them. Now, as you mentioned, there is already the second series of that wonderful With Love Meghan that you've been alluding to is coming out shortly, where, of course, she's going to be elevating some more fruit and flower sprinkles.
What did that mean? I like to elevate this to make people feel good.
Well, Isn't that what cooking's about? Is that when you have people around, you try and make them feel good, but it's just so ersatz when it comes out of her mouth. Yeah. And that's the problem. But for Netflix, there are commercial tie-ins as well with the As Ever brand, which Netflix are helping to support. So you can see they've got a vested interest in maintaining their tie-up, because whatever you say, Meghan, whether you like her or dislike her, does attract eyeballs. And isn't that half the battle for anyone? To working on the philosophy...
Well, somebody once told me that if you attract eyeballs, whether they love you or hate you, it's the same thing. So you might be absolutely right. You might find that millions of people will watch your elevator pancake because that, just so they can go, God, that was rubbish. That's what you're saying. And you're right there, aren't you? I mean, it's true.
Yeah, well, it's all publicity is good publicity. Now, that's not always the case, but in Meghan's, it's definitely, there is a curiosity value of seeing what awful thing is she preparing next. And obviously, as you say, not in her kitchen.
No.
But, I mean, I'm sure some people, every product that she's been launching on her As Ever brand was sold out within a nanosecond, which means they haven't got enough content. You know, she's got a rosé bottle where you have to buy a minimum of 3. Of course, there's honey, there's spread, not jam. And
there's
Netflix
what?
are helping.
There's spread.
Not jam. She calls it, you know, it's raspberry spread or rather than jam. It basically looks like a gloopy liquid that, you know, you sort of like a coolie.
I think they should do like an X-rated show where she smears all the stuff she's created over his ginger body. I mean, that'd get a few eyeballs, wouldn't it?
Get plenty, I would have thought. But for Harry, what is he going to come up with any good ideas? There is a documentary, a short film coming up about helping, I think, children in Uganda, but of course Harry is, in his own time, has had his problems with the Centre Bali charity, which of course they had the report last week, which he didn't come out with all guns blazing. So there are problems for the Meghan and Harry band, but they say they're very happy to be extending. it wouldn't, and so that gives them a bit of a PR win in the sense that they haven't lost it, but I'm not sure it's as good as the last one.
Well, already they're pouring in 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Harry and Meghan have got a new Christmas special coming out with Netflix. What do you think it's going to be? Daryl says Meghan gaslights Harry in the kitchen. Deborah said get lost. It's a complete waste of time. Harry and Meg's Christmas special name. Ex-Princemas special. If the prize is a date. Oh God, I'm honestly, this person says if the prize of this getting this right is a date with JK, can I give it to charity? That's nice. Jill says a Christmas turkey like everything else they've served up. Steve says if the best Christmas TV is going to be the Ginger Windrum, what's her bloody name, then I'm converting to Scientology and I'm hoping a spaceship will take me to safety. This one's my favourite. Harry and Meghan's turkey in Tinseltown without any bleeding trimmings. And Harry and Christmas should be called a load of baubles. There you go. It's all coming in, you see. Does anybody like them, do you think? Genuinely, Rupert, does anybody like them?
Well, there's no accounting for taste in some. You know, if someone does, well, you just have to say fair play. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I listened to her podcasts, which I reckon was appalling. I've watched her documentary, the cooking show. I learned absolutely nothing.
Did Mrs. Bell watch the cooking show from the kitchen? Did she?
Well, Mrs. Bell's a cordon bleu cook, so I think she just laughed at it. So there you go. But you know,
Mrs. Bell's a cordon bleu cook. You're punching, aren't you, Belly?
Well, I am, but you know, one or two of us do that, don't we, Jeremy?
Yes. Well, Ryan says he doesn't because he's so tall, but you've done me completely. Just very quickly, very, very quickly. I read an article at the weekend that said that even the Duke of York's two beloved daughters are now moving away from him after the latest lurid headlines.
Yeah, and I think this is where we've got to, from one. Well, I have a great deal of sympathy for both Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, and because it can't be fun seeing, you know, and reading stories about your father and mother, which at times are you know, if verified, are quite appalling. So it's really difficult for them. But what people I know have said, they're incredibly good people. They get on with their lives and try and take it all in their stride. But you know, even last week and reading it, because you couldn't get away from it, it must have been tough for them. And those are the people that we should be really thinking about, because it will be causing them anguish. There's no two ways about it. But unfortunately, their father and mother have not helped their own cause and have made it difficult for their children.
I'll tell you one thing about him, in my opinion, and Harry and Meghan. John in Wolves, by the way, how about this Not the Royal Family Christmas Special? I think that's absolutely brilliant. I believe that our future king will strip them. I genuinely mean this. I think he'll strip them and he will get rid of his own. I think they both must know that once William is king, they are gone. All three of them, never to return. 20 seconds.
I think in terms of Andrew, he is persona non grata, and the recent allegations just add to that, and he is now a prisoner in his royal lodge.
Great to have you on, mate. We really appreciate it stepping in to do that. Thank you very much, Steve. The legend that is Rupert Bell, live and exclusive on Talk Drive. Almost 6, we'll do the news. More of your calls. Chloe Dobbs, brilliant here. Commentator, philanthropist. I'm joking. 0344 499 1000. This is Talk Drive.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Apparently our Oh, it is what... You see, the thing is... Well, don't... You see, the thing... This is what I get, right, during the news. The main camera's not working, so look at the other camera. So I look at the other camera, and then it says that one's working. See, it's all gone to... What is... Always in drive time. Listen, welcome back. Thank you very much, Steve, for tuning in. I feel like I'm in the presence of televisual commentary royalty now. I mean, another young lady whose career I created and now looks to me like I've walked into her house on Christmas Day and stolen a dog. Chloe Dobbs, political commentator. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
I said, have you missed me? She went, not really.
No, I said I had. Don't lie.
I'm only messing. How's things? I watch all the stuff you do online. It's brilliant.
Oh,
Before we get into the political stuff, have you heard the breaking news that Harry and Meghan have signed a new deal with Netflix, and it's going to include a Christmas special, and there is a prize. I don't know what it's going to be.
Well, I heard it from you when I was sat in the makeup room.
So I've got some good ones. Hello, Jeremy. If everyone... Oh, no. The show should be called Harry and Meghan's Very Real Christmas Crapper. Or The Family Flush, says Trevor in Harrow. I completely agree. Heather Steele, Harry and Meghan's Nightmare Christmas Special, because it's completely disastrously nightmarish and trash and will be a load of rubbish. Jeff, Harry and Meghan's new cookery show entitled Can't Cook, Won't Cook, starting off with how to make a fruitcake. She's one. Oh no, then on comes Harry. James, California Christmas with real snow and flowers. Nice. Clive in Solihull. It's posh there. Have you been to Solihull?
No.
People get out the bath there to have a wee. Harry and Meghan's deluded dinner menu. They are both awful and should not be encouraged. Harry and Meghan's Nightmare Christmas... Oh no, we've done that already. Why do people send things twice and make me look like an idiot? And why do you put them through twice? There we go. Right, 3 minutes past 6. Chloe Dobbs, good afternoon. What would you call Harry and Meghan's new Christmas food special?
Ooh, probably just...
That's put you
I'm
right on
not very good at like dad jokes, to be honest. I'll probably hand that over to you.
Wow, Dobby's got it. Wow! Again, you help somebody create...
This is where my dad would come into play.
How old's your dad?
My dad, let me think, he's born in 1960.
So he's 65?
Nearly, in December.
And I'm 60, so I could in fact be your dad.
Maybe.
Brilliant. Okay, well that's gone down well. So please don't book her ever again. I think she's completely cheeky. So you've got no answer then. I put you right on the spot. You're full of everything, but you can't come up with something that quickly.
No, I'm not a comedian.
Okay, fair enough. So let's start with. Did you see the Sarah Poaching conference today?
Saw little snippets.
Have you got a snippet actually that we can play to Chloe? So Sarah's come out. She's on the show at 4 o'clock. She's talking about how. Small boat migrants from Muslim countries pose a massive sexual assault risk to women in this country. Have a listen, have a watch.
The truth is, we have no idea who we're letting in. No idea how many of them have criminal records or who might be a red flag to our security services. How many are drug dealers, murderers, rapists, spies for hostile regimes, terrorists? What we do know is that this government is being forced, kicking and screaming, to accept that foreign nationals are 4 times more likely to commit rape or sexual assault than British men.
What's really interesting with Sarah there, Chloe, is that the Casey report intimated this, and I was saying earlier on that these are the sorts of things that 5 or 10 years ago, if you said that, you'd be called every single thing under the sun, including that you were racist. But these are turning into facts now, and yet still the left, parts of our institution, kick and scream and say this is massively unfair. And what I don't understand, and don't take this wrong, you're a woman, right? Women's safety is really, really important. Why do we have seemingly a government and all these activists who seemingly don't care about that, whilst they continue to rail for allowing people from not war-torn countries to come in and take advantage of this society of ours? I don't understand it.
I think that they are struggling to let go of their long-standing belief that multiculturalism is our strength. Everybody that comes here is going to be grateful to be here, immediately assimilate with our culture, wouldn't kill a butterfly. But we're realising that that is not the case, and that's very hard for people to accept who have made their entire personality all about diversity and multiculturalism, and immigration is a great thing. I've changed my mind on it. I used to be pro-open borders when I was younger, and then I saw what was happening and I have changed my mind. I think slowly but surely...
Why were you pro? Help me out with that. Why were you pro it before?
There's a guy called an economist called Brian Kaplan. He's written a book on this, and he was someone who taught me when I was younger, and he's pro open borders from an economic perspective. And his view from the cultural side was that if people come to a country who come from a backwards culture, then it's a good thing because then they're going to learn a new culture. So, for example, one argument for allowing Chinese students who come from somewhere where there's not very much free speech to come to a country where there is free speech is that they'll learn and they'll see, oh, it's great to be able to debate lots of different ideas. Free speech is a great thing, and then they'll take that new opinion back.
That's a really interesting point that you make, because if we go further with what Sarah said and what a lot of people have been saying this afternoon on the show is, and she said, if you allow certain people to come in who have a very different view to yours, rather than, as Captain said, and you were saying there, you know, my bugbear about the migration crisis is, and they always tell the same story again. Guy picks me up at night, came from Bangladesh 40 years ago, and his dad set him and his brothers down and said, we are grateful to this country, we make something, we employ people. And he is more offended by migration than I am. He feels more British than I am because he's giving something back. What happened along the way, I think, was that illegal migration has put us in a position where other cultures, other creeds, other religious people have come to this country, and rather than, as you said, embracing it, they spend their entire time knocking that and trying to implement stuff that they tell us that they're disappearing and running away from. And that's where the problem arises. And I don't think social cohesion has proven to be anyway, in any way as successful as everybody makes out. But as I keep saying, the chattering left wing will tell us that that's wrong and these poor people deserve a chance. But if you've got people, what did Sarah say today? Medieval views, slightly, you know, I mean, that's a certain way of describing it. It's not going to work, is it?
No, I think a lot of people think, anybody who turns up here on a boat who's fled some backwards regime, they must be completely opposed to that regime and all of the values that it stands for, and therefore the people that turn up on our shores from, for example, Afghanistan, are going to absolutely love women and be very respectful of them. But actually, that is simply not the case. They may dislike the Taliban, but they've still come from a culture where their views on consent, marriage, how women should dress, and all of these sort of things are complete world.
So why
why
won't female commentators on the other side of where you are, why won't they acknowledge that women's safety, as Sarah Poin said today, Jack Elsom was talking about it, Mark Francois was talking about it, why will they not accept that women are in danger from these people? Why when that is raised is everybody jumping up and down saying, oh, you can't say that? But you can say that.
Well, I wish that they would, and I wish it takes a lot for people to break away from their tribe. You know, if you're part of a tribe and they've all got a certain set of opinions, if you come out with something that goes completely against what they've all been saying, then they're going to come at you like wolves. I mean, you know what the left are like. They won't treat you nicely if you've got...
Do you get grief online from the left?
Of course, loads. I mean, every single video I make, if I talk about, for example, the issue with crime and with rapes and sexual assaults with asylum seekers, I will always qualify what I've said with, I'm not tarnishing them all with the same brush. I'm not saying everyone's a rapist. I'm just saying that on the figures there is a higher propensity for certain groups, like Afghans, we're hearing 20 times more likely to commit rapes and sexual assaults. That is something we need to take into account. But even when you say that, they'll comment and they'll say, you're saying everyone that comes here from Afghanistan is a rapist. And I'm like, no, I've literally just clarified that is not my view.
But how do those people, I know I'm sounding like my granddad now, how do these people not pick up on the fact that millions of people in this country are increasingly hacked off, that we feel that we're not able to speak the truth? Well, you can on this station, you can through the Sun newspaper, you can with you online, but do they honestly think people are stupid? Do they honestly think that in Epping, for example, those were mothers concerned about their daughters? Rob from Newcastle was telling me earlier, he talked to his teenage daughters every single day. Are the government oblivious? Are they stupid, or don't they care? Because the British people are at the end of their tether. I say it every single day. I really believe that.
I think that these people that live in their bubble of left-wing friends who all have the same view as them, they do think that it is a fringe, extreme view to be opposed to illegal migration. But they need to look at the polls. And if you show them the polls and say, oh, look, you've got 30% of people thinking of voting for the Reform Party who are going to be tough on illegal migration, they say, you know, oh, they've been brainwashed by Farage's fascist rhetoric, you know, that it's not genuine, their point of view. They've just been brainwashed, you know, just like Hitler. And, you know, they say all this stuff. You talk to so many people who you might think, oh, they're normal and intelligent, and then you bring up someone like Nigel Farage and straight away they're pulling out the words Nazi, fascist, and all of these names. They think that it's a very extreme view and very dangerous for somebody to support the Reform Party.
Do they?
Yeah.
Do you know why
they live in a complete
I don't know if I've
bubble.
told you this. Do you know why I voted Reform? I mean, I'm 60, right? You know that. I voted Tory all my life. That was what I was brought up. But when I was a kid, my old girl used to talk about, you know, what money came in and what money came out and balancing it. She used to talk about low taxation. We were brought up to believe that you were scared of the police, that your military was strong, that your borders were secure, and that you looked after people. And there was that social contract between government and person. I remember in the last election specifically listening to a Tory, I don't know who it was, a Reform candidate or somebody from the Reform, I don't think it was Nigel, saying, you know, this taxation is a joke. It's the highest taxation in 70 years. We have criminals laughing in the face of the police who are more interested in doing whatever it takes to tick a box to be promoted rather than arresting real-life criminals. We've got absolutely sod-all military because we spent the last 20 years predominantly under the Tories cutting absolutely everything. And I remember, and this Tory MP, it was a question time, I think, said, this is what's wrong with you, you're far right and you're going to let in Labour. And I remember at that moment thinking, I can't vote for the Tory party anymore, that's not far right. Those are the things that I was brought up on. That's not far right, that's common, middle, working class, whatever you want to talk about it, Tory values, right, that have been left by the Tory party, completely left. That's what Farage is doing. I'm sure it's easy to say there are one or two elements, blah, 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 but you know the phrase that keeps coming out, and it comes out every single day on this show, is common sense.
Yeah, it is just common sense to, for example, say we should actually have a border. I mean, in any country around the world.
Don't tell that to the King. Did you hear that the other day?
Oh, don't get me started.
This really, I mean, this is very well an holiday. This, I thought, we're in trouble. So he said there's no border between us and France. I'd say only this, and I'm a royalist, right? You haven't got a border, you haven't got a kingdom, you haven't got a kingdom.
There's
you
a
don't
whole
need a bleeding
English
king.
Channel. I mean, we as
It's a big moat.
Yeah, as a country that's surrounded by sea, it should be easier for us than other countries to protect our border. But no, I mean, we offer them a taxi service. They only have to get the dinghy to the centre line of the channel, and then Border Force will pick them up.
Had an argument on holiday in Norfolk. Bloke said, would you like to donate? RNLI said, no, you've become an immigration taxi service. He wasn't best pleased. It's true. The other thing is, if you come today, this is a great story on the front of the Sun. Small boat migrants are given taxpayer-funded days out. Have you seen this story today?
Yes.
Yeah, you can get...
Good story.
I mean, honestly, this is brilliant. You get martial art classes. You can get tickets to Aston Villa. That's probably even worse than going to Watford. You can get e-bikes. But my favourite is, and this is just a joke, right? You can get dinghy days out. What does that mean?
Yeah, there's a country park that offer dinghies, like little rowing boat dinghies and sailing boats.
Why don't we put those at the coast and put them in and point them back to France?
Yeah, that's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. But clearly the council in Rotherham have taken a different approach.
Oh, this is the council in Rotherham that allows the man that raped the young girls and went to jail to live back in the same street as the victims,
exactly.
Yeah?
This is the thing that annoys me the most about this story, is that it is Rotherham. I think it's absolutely disgusting that in a place where the girls are already terrified to walk down the streets because, well, I mean, a lot of the perpetrators, if they go to prison, they only go there for a year or two.
He went
for
two, the leader, and he gave them £300,000.
I know, it's crazy. But then they're living back in the communities. A lot of them haven't faced any justice, and so they're terrified to walk down the streets. And then you say, let's just throw into the mix some hotels full of migrants. I had once a concerned mother from Rotherham send me a message, say that they'd opened about 6 to 8 of them, one of them right next to a school. I mean, how unacceptable is that? To those girls who desperately deserve our help, we say, we're just going to make matters worse, make your town even less safe for girls by putting up all of these hotels. And on top of it, we'll give them a load of free stuff that all of you lot can't afford.
See, I say it, and I get on the train at night or get in the car, and I'm like, is something happening to your car, right? And then, I mean, you're the third of my age, probably, and you are as passionate about this. To me, it's not rocket science, Chloe. It's just, I don't understand how people think that it's okay to trade young girls' innocence or the victims of crimes' innocence. I don't understand how we seem to be living in a country that seems to back the people that do wrong things, but the people that try and live their lives correctly, pay their taxes, never ask for a handout, never break the bleeding law, they're all screwed every day.
Yeah, it seems like the state is always on the side of perpetrators rather than victims.
Why?
I mean,
why?
a lot of it is just a concern about diversity and not upsetting anyone. You know, they constantly say,
what about the person that a crime committed against them? We're not upset then.
Exactly. They say, oh, we don't want to tell people the truth because we don't want to inflame community tensions. They open up these migrant hotels and they won't tell any of the locals and consult them because they don't want to inflame community tensions. We've just found out today that because of GDPR, shopkeepers are being given a slap in the face and told, don't you dare post up a picture of the people who are shoplifting and stealing all the stuff, because that might offend them or it might break data rules.
No, sorry, I don't want to jump. I don't want to burst your bubble.
They've gone back on that in the day. Okay.
So the other day, this is brilliant. North Wales Police have been forced to clarify the law this afternoon after a shop owner in Wrexham was told that putting up a sign calling shoplifters scumbags could be offensive. Rob Davis put up a handwritten note. Did you know this?
Yeah.
He said, due to scumbag shoplifters, please ask for assistance to open cabinets. Following a complaint from the member of the public. Where did that Karen come from? Go and get a job. Police officers attended his shop, probably 74 of them. Today, just this afternoon, so you wouldn't see it, North Wales Police have issued a statement in which they've confirmed that putting the sign up is not illegal.
Is that just the comment calling them scumbags, though, or are the pictures
Oh, you
okay?
might still be right. That's the scumbag thing.
Yeah, because that was one part of the story, but the other part of the story is that we're saying for GDPR reasons, you can't put a picture of the person that is stealing from you.
What does GDPR mean? What does that mean?
Data protection.
Oh, sorry.
It's sharing other people's information, showing their face. But meanwhile, it's basically de facto, it's legal to to steal up to 200 quid worth of stuff now.
I know. 199.99. The police ain't coming.
So what are the shopkeepers?
Go with the calculator.
What are the shopkeepers meant to do if someone comes and takes 190 quid worth of stuff and they keep on coming and doing it every day? You're a small independent business owner. You can't afford
I'd be
this.
in prison. I'd bash
Police
them up.
won't turn up, and now you can't even post a picture to say find this man on the door of the shop.
I am going to go with the fact that you will love this story more than anything to finish.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Merton in South London?
Yes.
Have you?
I'm in a Merton Mums Facebook group.
No. Are you a mum?
No, I'm not. It's a long story. There are good memes on that group. And my friend
I think
put
she's
me
got
in
a
it.
secret love child. Anyway,
No, I do not have a child.
You do, really. It's a dog. Anyway, one of Britain's wokest councils has told staff, you should know about this then, has told staff to call parents caregivers instead of mum and dad in a bizarre new inclusivity guide. The guide obtained by The Sun tells workers to stop using the word young or old or mature, that'll do me, because that's ageist. Also, mummy and daddy, mother and father are no-go. The Labour-run council says it aims to reduce the chances of staff making assumptions about a child's biological parents, because it could be, honestly, I swear to God, man, what's the point?
It's just absolutely ridiculous. And they've also said in that handout that they've given that you can't use gendered language such as man the desk. So if you say to a female employee, oh, I'm going on my break, can you man the desk for 15 minutes? Uh-oh, hate crime, not allowed.
I remember years ago, probably before you were born, I think Ken Livingstone was in charge in London and this woke madness was starting. And I'm pretty sure, Ryan, you'll have to help me out with this, but I'm pretty sure that they did some particularly bizarre things, like, you know, bicycle lanes. They changed all the signs so the bicycles had no bars and they had baskets on the front to be... No, I'm being complete. And manhole covers were called access chambers. And blackboards in schools weren't allowed. And a bloke wrote to one of the local newspapers in London and said that... you probably won't know this, but there used to be an access card, like a credit card was called access.
Okay.
And he felt that because they called it an access chamber, he'd been done against because he was a Barclay card holder. And they printed this story. That's how mad this rubbish is.
I mean, I'm sure Merton Council have other more important things to deal with and things to spend their
or some knife crime, you know, people. You know.
I know. I doubt the people in Merton who have to pay their council tax every month are going to be happy about this. And to be honest, I think, you know, they clearly said, oh, don't say mum and dad, because some children might be adopted and some may have gay parents, right? If they're, you know, you might have two gay guys or two gay women. I doubt they'd be that offended, to be honest, if someone said to kids, oh, you know, be nice to your mums and dads or something like that. I mean, we know whenever you get letters from school, it always says dear parents and guardians rather than just dear parents, and fine, whatever. But to police it and say, oh, you've done something really horrendous if you say mummy and daddy, it's just ridiculous.
Excuse me. Shut up. Just talking to Ryan. Just putting him in his place because he talks, you know, quite a bit. Just joking with my boy. Did you hear the story about the nurse? I did this early in the show. Midwife, 27 years. It was about a year ago she rang the show. And congratulations. Imagine you with your husband about, you know...
I can see where this is going.
And she said, congratulations, you've got a baby boy. And they complained and said, it's not for you to decide our son. It was penis and everything. Your son, and she got a written warning, mate, after 27 years. And to me, that's ludicrous. We can be respectful to the other side, but actually... we've gone too much the other way, I think. That's what I'd say.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is absolutely crazy. I mean, there was the other nurse, I don't know if she's still suspended, she's had a whole, you know, appeal and all of this going on, who referred to, so there was a trans prisoner, so a trans woman, i.e. a biological man, who'd come from a male prison for a medical appointment. He had an issue with his urinary tract, i.e. involves his male parts, right? And so when she calls another member of staff to explain what the issue is with her patient, she says, you know, she refers to him as a he. And
there was a penis.
He overheard this conversation, right? Who's in trouble? Him or her?
And he's a prisoner.
Well, he then tried to attack her and called her the N-word several times, but he's fine. He's in no trouble whatsoever. She's lost her job. It's insane. What is wrong with the NHS? We've got an NHS on its knees and you're firing people who you desperately need to be at work because they've referred to someone with male parts who happens to claim that he's a woman as a he. It's crazy.
I love the fact, I feel like I think you're like the next generation. You'll take, well, I'm long gone. You'll be taking this argument forward. Chloe Dobbs, fantastic as ever. We appreciate her being part of the show. 6:23. To that exact moment, my daughter has just texted me from Milan, where she's on holiday, saying, hope you're having a good time, Dad. Like, probably not as good a time as you. Chloe, thank you very much indeed. She's going to be a regular on this show because you love her. And she's cheap. I'm joking. She's actually quite expensive. There we go. 0344 499 1000. Talk Drive returns in 3.
I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to come on this morning was just say thank you to all the people who've given really nice tributes. And even like when we were at the hospice, there are a couple of handwritten letters arrived from people who'd heard he was there. And that he'd maybe spoken to once in 1970. He'd been kind to them and they felt the need to write in. So thank you to everyone.
But there really wasn't anybody like him.
No, he's a big hole to fill. It's just, I miss him terribly. He was thinking of making a little video, but he decided against that in the end, like a something to be played at his funeral or whatever, but he decided not to do that in the end.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're live across the UK. JK on Drive, 7 o'clock tonight. Kev O'Sullivan's Political Asylum is on. I'm just his fluffer, although, well, maybe times are changing. Maybe I'm not just his fluffer, but more of that coming up. And also Petri here from 10 o'clock tonight. Do you remember that vile human being, Bob Villan? Bob Villan, yeah, that bloke at Glastonbury, who shouted death, death to the IDF without getting involved in Gaza. I don't like what I'm seeing in Gaza, but this guy, to me, that was anti-Semitic. Well, he's been at it again. Newquay's Broadmasters event on Sunday. He basically dismissed calls for the act to be banned because we speak the truth, because we cannot and will not be silenced, because we dare to take to this stage and say F England and its terrible foreign policy. Great, so he hates England. Because we dare to say F the Israeli government and the atrocity and their crimes of genocide that they are committing, because we dare to say free, free Palestine, he went on. Then he said, F reform, they didn't want to see her. F reform, F Zionist bodies, F MPs. Before the festival, Andrew Hogan, campaign manager for Reform UK in Cornwall, had warned that Bob Villan's toxic rhetoric threatened to tarnish the event, which has run since 2005 and has a capacity of 60,000 people. Lots of people calling for the ban, but no, it went ahead. And there he is again, giving it out. Bob Villan. How on earth, right, can you get cancelled for saying, you know, that's a baby boy, and that piece of crap can stand on stage and spout whatever. Anyway, there we go. This is Great Britain. It's in the toilet. 0344 499 1000. Jez, Chloe, what the hell is going on in Great Britain? Sorry to say, but it's turned into a bit of a madhouse. Now, here's a man who I think used to believe that Britain wasn't a madhouse and his own country was a madhouse. How things have changed. We're delighted to be joined, the managing editor of Inside Sources, a political US commentator, a giant of technology and commentary. We say oh no, he's not available. Michael Graham is, though. Hello.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to fill in for whoever you just described. It's my pleasure to be in his shoes.
Been a while, dear boy. How are you? I've missed the green shirt.
We love Great Britain over here. It's the greatest, as Donald Trump says, it's the greatest Britain. There's no Britain that's better. It's my favorite Britain, so that's very good. And as long as we have P.G. Wodehouse to read, you'll always have a special place in my heart.
Do you laugh at us? Genuinely, I'm being serious. When you consider the immigration thing, somebody told me the other day, whether you love or you hate Donald Trump, that this time last year, 300,000 plus people came in through your border, and this year, 12 months later, like ice or not, it was less than 300, for Christ's sake, which says he's doing exactly what he said he'd do, MG.
No joke. We had a day under Biden where there were 12,000 illegals crossing in a day. We haven't had a month with 12,000 people since the new Trump approach has been put in place. That's where we are. I think the thing that bothers the people that I talk, the center-right people in the U.S., is watching your approach to free speech. And I think this is one of those fundamental breaks. It's like the gun thing. You know, Trump wants to take over D.C. because of crime, and liberals are saying, our crime is fine. And what they describe as fine, you would think of, oh my, this is like a horror show. Same thing I think on free speech. I mean, Americans we have it in our genes. It's the reason we kicked you people out, 270 years ago, whatever, 50 years ago, is because we believe in this idea of having the free exchange of ideas even when they're offensive. And when we see these stories about police actually surfing the interwebs looking for, oh my gosh, I don't want to think about what you would find if you were
some bloke from a radio station some bloke from a radio station in this building, MG, right, was on a WhatsApp group. It's a famous story. It was about 6 months ago. So on a WhatsApp group with other parents, and said I disagree with the teacher. I'm going to take issue with the teacher. One of them complained. He's sitting at home having his sausage and chips, and 6 police arrive and arrest him. And yet you have a country where people can spout anti-Semitism. They can walk around with knives, and the police find excuses. That's our problem. It's appalling here, mate. Honestly, genuinely.
What's appalling is the rape gang thing, because how do you put those two together? We're going to find room to leave people alone because we believe, and by the way, I think wrongly, that their culture accepts rape. I don't believe that. I think there are bad elements in the culture, except for plenty other culture does. But
absolutely,
the British police being basically
but
racist.
Can I say something
all you
to you?
brown
Why
people
don't
want to rape
other members
people
of
is the attitude?
Why don't other members of those cultures? This is a really important point you make, and it's a bugbear of mine. I think you're right. We shouldn't be tarnishing, and maybe some rhetoric leads to that. But the fact of the matter is, why doesn't other parts of certain communities stand up and say, we find that abhorrent as well? Because there's no doubt they do, but they don't say. And then it causes all sorts of problems. Anyway, the reason we got you...
Their silence feeds the racism. I mean, think about the premise of the leaders in the police who basically said we can't treat those people, aka the brown people, the way we would treat other people because we can't hold them to the same standard. What is more racist than that? Of course they can know right and wrong. This is nonsense. Just treat people like right and wrong and sort of find a space where you're prepared to say our culture can accept that. We can't accept a racist joke on the internet. Is just that those are the two that Americans cannot fit together.
The thing for me was about the rape gangs. I don't give a damn or a toss or whatever. The colour of your skin, your religion, your creed. In a world I live in, if a man rapes an 8-year-old girl, whatever the colour of her skin or her social background, in my world, he has no right to liberty. That's it. Listen to this. This will make you laugh. And this has been sent by Danny in West Yorkshire. He said, give this to MG. I'm an HGV mechanic, and we put signs on the back of trailers we used to stating, cyclists stay back. We had to remove them because FORS, which is the haulage controllers in the United Kingdom, said they were too aggressive. Now they say, cyclists be aware. That's how woke we've become. Cyclists stay back is aggressive. Cyclists be aware we're a big lorry. We might crush you.
Speaking as a typical American driver, our message would be cyclists screw you. Yes. Or cyclists good luck.
Yes.
Or cyclists, watch where you're going or otherwise you'll be under my car.
I knew I should have lived there.
Tomorrow to arrest every annoying bicyclist in rush hour in America, you'd be elected king the next day.
I knew I should have stayed in your country. Right, listen, what I wanted to talk to you about, Donald Trump.
So this actually relates to Donald Trump taking over the DC thing. It really does.
No, it does.
There are two conversations going on. One conversation is that crime in the District of Columbia is lower now than it was in 2023, and that crime is down from the horrific, the 1990s. Something happened in our culture, and so crime is way down. And that's all true. But it's also true that DC's crime is significantly higher than almost every other city, and whichever measurement you use, it's in the top 10, often in the top 3, and we've had high-profile crimes that are just gasp-inducing, like the two people at the Jewish Museum who were murdered by a Free Palestine guy who stays there so that he can get caught afterwards and chant Free Palestine afterwards. We have horrific crime. And there's also something else, and I think this is part for the people who don't get why Trump has the support he does. Despite being a multi-gazillionaire New York City downtown guy, he's such a regular guy. And I lived in the district for years. I've lived outside the district for years. I've been in and out. And when you go and you're headed to the White House, and you're in your Uber, and you go through a couple of the communities on the way, and you see people sleeping on the streets, you see mounds of trash, and you see statues that have been defaced, and you think, I live around here. I'm here for work all the time. What about the visitors? They must look at our city and see what a crap hole. And it really bothers normal Americans. And I think that's one thing that Donald Trump's tapped into. It's not just there is a city that has a crime problem. He's not talking about New York or Denver or whatever. He's saying this is our capital. This is basically our show place. And just like a guy who ran a casino, just like a guy who ran showrooms, he wants the city to be a show place. And I've had so many of my family, when they come and visit me and I'm showing around DC, there's always that part where they kind of go, ooh, well, look at that over there.
This is exactly how people feel about London. I don't like you, Mayor. I don't think he's done. I can't do the impression of Donald Trump, but Sadiq Khan got elected here. A million out of 1 million people voted for him out of 12 million. How the hell did that happen? He spends his entire time with this woke, diverse push, and yet we've got the worst knife crime of most European cities. And you're right, and people are living on the streets, and there are drug dealers and everything. Talking Trump, I just want to play you a clip. Earlier he spoke about his meeting, this massive meeting that's due to take place with Putin in Alaska this Friday. Have a listen to this, my friend.
I thought it was very respectful that the president of Russia is coming to our country, but I think we'll have constructive conversation. I get along with Zelensky, but, you know, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need, but I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting, or I may say we can make a deal. If not, I will tell you this, I've seen a poll coming out of Ukraine. 88% of the people would like to see a deal made. And if you go back 3 years, everybody was gung-ho for war. You know, everybody's gung-ho for war until you have it.
MG, love him or hate him, we know he's a deal maker and all those sorts of things. You can watch what he says. When the world thought he'd upset Zelensky, suddenly he was very nice there, who said, you know, don't agree with Zelensky. He's trying to bring Putin to the table. Like him or loathe him, he gets stuff done, doesn't he?
He also, once again, back to that normal guy attitude. He starts with the premise that everyone talks up war until you get one. In other words, you know, forget the romance of war. Real people are dying. And I'm told by people who are very close to him that when he sees the images, particularly of children who are hurt in war, that it has a true impact on him. He's once again, he's not a lifetime politician who's, you know, you think back, like you're in Congress, you have to vote on war issues and whatever, and then you're in the Senate and you vote on issues, and bombings happen, you know, America bombs this place, you see some ugly pictures, and you kind of get inured to it. He doesn't have that. You know, his worst decision was he makes a decision about the carpet, you know, in a building, whatever, you know, no one gets hurt. And now it's life and death, and I think it really bothers him. Yeah. The blood bothers him in a way that it should bother all of us. Yeah. Having said that, what I think he's continues to overvalue is his ability to make deals with people who don't want a deal and who have what they want. Until Putin sees, I've gotten what I can get, I can't get any more, he's not going to stop. He's going to keep going. And the only way Putin can see that is if Europe and America load up the Ukrainians with enough to keep giving him the bloody nose, to hold them off, to just make it awful. And
from your man's point of view, your man's point of view, he's telling the world, I'm going to be bringing them together. You heard him say, and if I have to step back, I'll step back, because he will say, I've done what I said I was going to do. I just, you know, there's a lot about the Orange Man baby I don't agree with, but I have to say that he does tend to do what he said he was going to do, whether he succeeds or doesn't, you know?
The best news for those of us who think peace can only come when Russia realizes they can't go anywhere, and the worst news for Putin is that Trump pulled the trigger on dropping those bombs in Iran when no other president would do it. W. Bush should have done it and wouldn't. Obama should have done it and wouldn't. Biden should have done it and wouldn't. Trump did. And so is that a sign that if Putin just keeps sending the missiles and keeps blowing up kids going to school and keeps blowing up power plants to leave people in the dark and hospitals in the dark, does Trump go, okay, fine. Here's 75 gazillion missiles, Ukraine. Here's tactical stuff. Here's the weapons you need to really hurt them. Yeah, I'm going to approve all that. Obviously, Europeans paying. Thank you for the money. Yeah, but I'm going to approve all that until you realize this isn't happening anywhere. That's the thing to me that it will decide if this is a success or failure. If Trump's prepared to walk away from the table and not do that, then this really isn't going to end until Ukraine just collapses. And I think
you can tell we haven't spoken for ages. Am I allowed to respectfully ask if you're prepared to come on once a week? Because I love talking to you.
Me? Come on with you once a week?
Yeah.
Dude, my life is bad. Isn't it bad enough? How much suffering can one... No, I'm kidding.
That's what your wife said to me. Right, I'm going.
Bada bing! Thank you. That's funny. She said the same thing to me.
Hey, God bless you.
Look, I would be more than happy to come on once a week and hang out with you. That'd be great. And then maybe we can do something where, you know, I'm traveling around. Maybe I zip over to that little city of yours and we do an event.
Little city. Listen, you are always welcome. We love having you on.
Look, I love doing events, particularly in Europe, where I'm the guy who's the Euro weenie, and I'll be happy to chat with your lefty friends. And
I don't have
try to
any
straighten
lefty
them out.
friends. Get out of
I
here.
did a debate in Dublin at Trinity College against the Cuban ambassador to Ireland, and almost started an international incident. So I'm happy to
We'll
jump in.
sign you up, MG. You're
Let's
a
do
ledge. Take care, mate. Thank you so much indeed. Michael Graham from Inside Sources. Good to have him on Drive Time. Before 7 o'clock, and Kev, we've got John Lucas, Sarge, the sex symbol. The News Night edit from The Sun, all about tomorrow's paper. Coming next on Talk Drive.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 6:45. You have been calling for his return in my absence, not mine, but his. He is called John Lucas, the night news editor from The Sun. He's affectionately known as Sexy Sarge. How are you, son?
Very well, thank you.
He's been on holiday. Do you don't want to say where, do you?
Mallorca. I've been in Mallorca.
Take a loof. Anyway, there we go. You all right?
Yeah, very well.
Tomorrow's paper. I have to compliment The Sun today. That story about the perks was extraordinary. Tomorrow, 1 every 11 minutes. This story is about, yes, small boat arrivals under Labour who said, we'll smash the gangs and sort this problem, and it's never been worse. Fair enough?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a subject we're talking about every day, all day, every day. It's a massive, it's a slow motion sort of national crisis that the government is really struggling to.
He says he's got his hand. What's he say? Simon says I'm getting a handle on our borders.
Well, this is the point. It's been a year. We're almost certainly going to pass 50,000 this year, and tomorrow that will happen probably, and that's going to be it's a town the size of Durham or Leamington Spa or whatever. There's plenty of towns that you can compare it to. The point obviously is massive cost to the public purse, most of them being housed at in hotels.
Yep.
And I mean, I think The Sun's led the way in looking down at the nitty-gritty of actually who the individuals are and what the individuals
think
are
about
getting up to.
the exclusives The Sun did about where they're working illegally, where they're living, the rental story you did about how people are being pushed out because the government are offering refurbs and 3-year contracts to private renters. It is the thing about it is, and it's not for you to get political, if you like, but to me it is the most important thing going on in this country. And when I used to be told, oh no, it's not immigration, it's net zero, it bloody well isn't. This is on everybody's lips, and you're right about The Sun. The Sun's led the way because it's prepared, like this station is, to actually have those conversations, I think.
Absolutely, that's right. And we're back in court again today, so it's another case of a migrant living in a hotel where he's gone berserk, stabbed another resident there 15 times. Fortunately, the guy didn't die, but it's an absolute horror case. The guy, he ended up getting... he only got 3 years.
Of course he did.
But again, this is.
He'll be out in 15 months.
He'll be out, and he's got an asylum case going through the system. So he's claimed asylum from Iran on the grounds that he is at risk in his home country.
Right, ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? This will happen. A man stabbed somebody 15 times, got 3 years, will serve a year, probably a year and a half, and then will come out and say, with some lefty lawyer that will be paying for, I can't go back to Iran because I'm a convicted criminal and they'll have a go at me. It's farcical, Sarge, isn't it?
Well, you're right. That is going to probably be another layer to his asylum claim down the road. But so look, we're doing that every day.
Trump tomorrow as well. We were just talking about him. He says he's hopeful of striking a deal between Russia and Ukraine this week. I was just watching the clip. He's so clever. I'll bring you together. I don't like him. And then, you try and make it work. If not, I've done my bit. And if it works, I'm going to look like a hero.
Exactly. Well, this is going to happen on Friday. In Alaska. It's going to be Trump and Putin are going to sit down. We don't know whether Zelensky will be part of this.
Weird that.
These discussions. Trump, he's a very tough negotiator. Lots of people obviously have their different views on him. He's done a lot of incredible deal making. I mean, he just had this peace talk between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and he sealed that one, and he was talking about that at this press conference today. Extraordinary press conference, because I think it went on for about 2 hours and he's kind of free-ranging around. Yes. It's really about the fact that he's going to put the National Guard out on the streets of Washington and clear up crime. Yeah. Not sure exactly what that's going to look like.
Sadiq Khan did the same in London.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure whatever's going to happen is going to be controversial. But, yeah, extraordinary week. It's a big week for Trump, so he's going to have that going on in Washington. We've just got our new US editor actually in situ over there, Scarlett Howes. She's there.
Yes.
And she's going to be covering all that. Harry Cole's going to be
editor at large.
Yeah, editor at large. He's
editor of large. Yes.
He's landing, and it couldn't be a better time because the US is going to be, it's
central to the world.
Yeah, exactly.
We broke this story earlier. There'll be loads in the Sun tomorrow. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will find a new multi-year first-look deal for film and television products with Netflix. Oh, they haven't a downgrade on their previous contract. Yes, but it's still money. The couple's new output will include a second season of The Duchess We Love, plus a Christmas special, which I've got just very quickly because this is brilliant. This is in the Sun tomorrow. Some suggestions from Rob. Here you go, Jez. Mexic Under the Mistletoe, Harry and Meghan Jingle All the Way Out, a Sussex Snowflake Spectacular, Silent Night, Spare Delight, and Buckingham's Palace's Lost Bauble. I mean, honestly, how do these people still get a deal?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's supposed this is not as good as what they had before. So they had this 100
still millions for being crap.
It's still very good, but it's a first look thing. So that's essentially Netflix get first refusal on some of these projects. Now, one thing that come out of this is a little while ago we revealed, I think this is 2 years actually, we said that they'd obtained the rights to this New York Times bestseller, Meet Me at the Lake, a big sort of book at the time, and it was a new direction for them, and we'd said, well, that's in development. Finally, that does seem to be part of this deal, so it's a new direction for them. I'm not sure whether that, what that will mean. I don't think it's a return. I don't think Meghan's going to be in it or whatever, but it's a slightly different...
it's crap.
Different approach for them. But some of this stuff, I mean, they've held the views they've got, but...
I heard today she doesn't call it raspberry jam, she calls it raspberry spread.
Yeah.
I think they should do soft porn. I think that she should spread raspberry spread. Honestly, they wind me up. I can't have it. Very quickly, I was in Sandringham last week in Norfolk. Took the kids around Sandringham. Amazing, right? King Charles is immortal. I bought a teddy bear from Sandringham, right? I don't know, about 30 quid. He's immortalised himself as a teddy bear, but shoppers wanted a king's ransom to afford. Just tell the people how much His Majesty King Charles teddy bear from Highgrove House costs.
Yep, so this is a teddy bear. It's based on King Charles.
They said to my mother.
Exactly. It's not a fantastic likeness of him.
Oh.
But it's based on him, and it wears the Order of the Garter Star.
Order of the Garter.
Yeah, that's it. That's very good.
They said to my mother.
And it only costs 269 quid.
260.
Yeah.
I bet you any money they're giving migrants free teddy bears of His Majesty the King. Sarge, you're a legend. Women, literally, honestly, texting in your absence going, where is he? This puts a smile in your You love it, don't you?
I don't believe that.
Jode, have women... They have. Jode, today she went, welcome back. Not that they want you back, they wanted Sarge back. We love having you on, mate. Are you here tomorrow?
Yes.
Good man. He is Sarge. He's just come back from... Hang on, Lou. And he's back tomorrow on Talk Drive. It's 8 minutes to 6.
They are a violent criminal organisation that has used terror tactics, including specifically against Jewish-owned businesses in this country, to further their cause. And when you support Palestine action, you are committing a criminal offence. And I don't give two hoots whether you're in your 60s or whether you're retired or whether you're blind or in a wheelchair, as one of the activists was, whether you look a little bit pathetic with your grey hair as you're being carted off by a big burly policeman. You knew you were breaking the law. You thought you were just such a virtuous soul.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
About 5 to 7, Kev here at 7, Petri at 10 on the legend that is MG. Back tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock with Morning Glory, the only way to wake up. Hello to Stephen McMillan. Harry and Meghan's new deal, what should their Christmas special be called? A regurgitation of crap. Fantastic. Kevin Whiting from South Wales. I think it should be called the Montecito Grifters Muppets Christmas Carol. H says, a Markle mince pie meltdown. Dan in Halifax. Just talking to me again. I'd call the Harry and Meg Christmas special Ginger Bee, Locks and Meghan the Moose. Great. Heather says, Harry and Meghan's ding-dong disastrously Christmas undercooked turkey Netflix bot. Oh, hello. And finally, foul play, says a man in the Cotswolds. Oh, I love this. My favourite, Kev O'Sullivan's here. Do you know what Mark Hill's got this right. For Meghan and Harry's new special, right? How about Meghan and Harry's Yuletide log? You just can't flush it away.
Yeah, it's about the size of it. I mean,
hey, how are you?
I'm all right.
Have you missed me?
Very much. How was your vacation?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously, the first day, bless him, we had the James news, and so did loads there. That was very sad, bless his heart. But we were lucky to have gone to see him the week before, which was nice. But I'm a bit like you. 3 days in, I want to come back, not just because of the kids. I was really hacked off. I wasn't here the day the homeless minister had to resign.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
Oh,
Yeah, I was on air when that dropped in the iPaper, so I was in the, I literally just read the headline out, and it's like went viral. It's like sometimes you can get a lot of numbers and you don't have to do anything.
Oh, mate. How's it going then? What you got for us today?
All right. Well, Isabel Oakeshott will join us for the first hour. Obviously, we're going to talk about 1 in, 1 out.
You mean 17,000 in and 1 out?
Well, it's not much of a deterrent, is it? No. 1 week into 1 week, 1 out, and more than 1,000 migrants have come across the channel. So there you have it. It's supposed to be a deterrent. It's not working. It's as simple as that. Also, Isabel has brought in a nice exclusive, actually. These people smugglers, they're running their business almost like a holiday brochure. If you go onto TikTok, it's just full of commercials and adverts. You need to get across the channel. We've got these special deals. They get in touch with so-and-so.
2 for 1.
Yeah, so Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, has said, I'm outlawing this. I'm going to make it illegal. You can't place adverts anymore. I would suggest that you don't do that. You just reply to the adverts and then catch the people placing the adverts.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you use the details they put on TikTok and arrest them?
Exactly
I thought
right.
you were going to smash the gangs.
Yeah, dare I say it? Maybe that might smash the gangs. You know what I mean?
Might cause a deterrent, absolutely.
Exactly right. Also, Dame Andrea Jenkins is coming on in an hour or so, about 8 o'clock. She's going to talk about her personal fears for her own safety. It's getting out of control. You know, if you're from Reform, if you're not, you know, part of the liberal elite that somehow or other loads and loads of trolls want to kill you. She's going to tell us all about that. And also we're going to show some video. I mean, you know, Nigel Farage posted this yesterday or today. It's very annoying. These migrants coming across in a small boat, a packed small boat. I would say there's 50, 60, 70, something like that. And they're all chanting Allah Akbar. And you can't understand what they're saying, but apparently they're reciting the words to some famous Islamic tract that basically says, you know, we are the spear of Islam, we're going to take the world over and all this, and across they come. And by the way, you look at this small boat, you know, these women and children escaping.
Nowhere to be seen.
Not
They're back in
no,
they're back being bombed, by the way, in the war-torn country, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see that Perks thing? I thought of you today. They offered Aston Villa tickets for £1. I mean,
I know.
That'd be a reason not to come to England, wouldn't it?
Exactly right. Yeah, the second prize, there are 2 Aston Villa tickets.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to talk about Nicola Sturgeon as well, her weird biography.